Chapter 421. Astonishing Opportunity, the World's Origin Energy. What is that? Everyone stared blankly at the enormous white vortex above Holy Mountain. It wasn't just because the white vortex was vast and immense. Most importantly, as they watched the vortex, they all felt tremors deep in their souls. It was as if something extremely important was gestating within the vortex, and it possessed an incredible attraction to them. Even the disciples from the several secret lands who knew the inside story were completely shocked at this moment. Did the temple master calculate that the opportunity would not be within Holy Mountain, but above it? Xian Nu looked at the huge vortex above his head, murmuring to himself in shock. Senior brother, the opportunity is actually in the sky. This is the best news for us. A disciple from the Cloudwater secret realm said, ecstatically, because among the few secret lands only they possessed the ability to fly. A white vortex? In a Taoist temple on Holy Mountain, a Taoist looked at the phenomenon in the sky, astonished. Is this the earth-shattering opportunity bestowed by heaven and earth that the temple master calculated? In the small courtyard, Lu Qing and others naturally also saw the white vortex atop Holy Mountain. Feeling the inexplicable aura emanating from the vortex, Lu Qing immediately activated his superpower and gazed into the vortex. With Lu Qing's current cultivation realm, he usually didn't need to spend time to probe information from ordinary treasures. But the white vortex in the sky was clearly of a very high level. Lu Qing stared at it for nearly half a quarter of an hour before he saw some words float out from within. Original vortex. Projected by the world's origin, it is brewing the origin energy inside. Origin energy possesses the ability to reshape muscles and talent and rebuild the universe. Anyone obtaining a strand of it can use it as a Tao seed, remold their foundation, and achieve the qualifications of a supreme genius. In this realm, every 60,000 years, the spiritual energy undergoes a cycle of birth and death. At the beginning of each spiritual energy recovery, heaven and earth will bestow a great opportunity. The emergence of this opportunity also signifies that the rules of heaven and earth begin to take shape initially. Origin energy? After reading the words emerging from the white vortex, Lu Qing murmured to himself. He finally understood why, all along, both he and his master had been drawn to the opportunity. It turned out that above Holy Mountain, the origin energy was actually being nurtured. Obtaining just a strand would allow one to use it as a Tao seed to form a supreme foundation. Such an opportunity, appearing only once every tens of thousands of years, was a supreme opportunity for all cultivators. Even for me, if I could get a strand of origin energy, it would greatly benefit me. Lu Qing truly understood why the vague intuition had told him not to rush his breakthrough. It turns out the opportunity in Central State was crucial for establishing the foundation of his path. However, to seize origin energy from among so many experts will not be an easy task. Lu Qing's divine soul power extended to its limit, vaguely sensing that within Holy City, an atmosphere on the verge of exploding was emanating. Clearly, the numerous experts outside, even if they couldn't recognize the origin of the white vortex in the sky, could sense the fatal attraction emanating from the vortex. They naturally knew that it must be nurturing an incredible opportunity. Origin energy projection? The spiritual energy recovery of this realm is actually revealing the origin energy projection. It's truly inconceivable. Heaven is aiding me. As long as I can seize a strand of origin energy, not only can I completely resolve the hidden dangers of reincarnation, I can also condense the supreme demon seed and forge the foundation of the strongest demon path. In a corner of Holy City, a figure in a black robe was staring intently at the white vortex in the sky, his face full of ecstasy. He never expected the world to reveal the origin energy projection during the recovery phase of spiritual energy. If he could seize the origin energy from within, even without devouring those children of fate, he had the confidence to refine a supreme demon foundation. Indeed, when I had no choice back then, abandoning the demon body and choosing to reincarnate in this world was the most correct decision I've ever made. The figure in the black robe clenched his fists, looking at the white vortex in the sky with a resolute face. The origin energy of the world. He was determined to obtain it. If anyone dared to block him, he was prepared to expose his identity and kill without mercy. Under the gaze of countless eyes, the immense white vortex slowly rotated, and the light at its center gradually increased, becoming dazzlingly brilliant. Finally, at a certain critical point, a massive column of light descended upon the top of Holy Mountain, like a pillar connecting heaven and earth. With the appearance of this towering column of light, heaven and earth seemed to be thoroughly connected. Taking Holy Mountain as the center, the many laws of heaven and earth began to evolve and reshape rapidly in an unimaginable way, expanding swiftly. Soon, the evolution of the rules spread to the small courtyard where Lu Qing was located. Lu Qing's body shook, and he immediately closed his eyes to enter a state of cultivation with superpower. As divine soul power surged out, sensing the rules between heaven and earth around him. Elder Doctor by his side also meditated, beginning to comprehend. They could all feel that this was the most intense moment of the evolution of the rules of heaven and earth. Grasping even a trace of comprehension from it was a rare opportunity for them. Outside, there were many experts doing the same as Lu Qing. Those who had stepped into the innate realm during this era were all considered exceptional talents. None had poor abilities. Naturally, all could sense the intense evolution of the rules of heaven and earth. Knowing this was a rare opportunity, they all began to comprehend. Of course, how much they could comprehend depended on each individual's perception and Taoist heart. Thus, with the evolution of the rules of heaven and earth, many innate realm experts simultaneously entered into a state of cultivation. Such a grand scene was probably rare in 10,000 years. Many experts were contemplating the changes in the rules of heaven and earth, and it was unclear how much time had passed when suddenly, the entire heaven and earth shook violently. Not only did this awaken many experts who were in contemplation, but what shocked them even more was that as soon as they opened their eyes, they saw the white vortex high in the sky suddenly emitting a shocking fluctuation, and under the gaze of countless people, the light intensified. The next moment, numerous streaks of light flew out from the center of the vortex, dispersing in all directions. Ah! A great opportunity has emerged. As soon as the light appeared, everyone who saw this scene suddenly felt an immense desire. It was clear to all that these streaks of light must contain unimaginable opportunities. Immediately, whether innate realm or postnatal realm, countless martial artists became restless, chasing after the lights. Suspended mountain disciples, hear my command. The opportunity has emerged. Set off immediately, and try to capture as many streaks of light as possible. Xianming monk immediately gave the order. Yes, elder. A group of suspended mountain monks responded thunderously. Big brother. I know. Cloudwater's secret realm disciples. Listen to my command. Board the flying birds immediately, and pursue the streaks of light. Yes, big brother. The disciples of Cloudwater's secret realm responded unanimously, setting up giant flying birds and pursuing the lights in the sky. Meanwhile, on another side of Holy Mountain, a giant flying kite rose slowly, with several Taoist figures with fluttering sleeves standing on it. People from several major secret lands on Holy Mountain used their divine skills to chase the streaks of light. In the Holy City as well, chaos reigned, because everyone noticed that some of the streaks of light emerging from the white vortex were flying directly towards Holy City. Chapter 422. Fortune descends from the sky. Reunion with an old friend. Look quickly. Streaks of light are flying toward Holy City. In Holy City, all the martial artists who were paying attention to the movements of the white vortex, upon seeing more than a dozen streaks of light actually heading straight for the city, were instantly exhilarated. As you may know, they all had a very clear view just now. Within the white vortex, only a few dozen streaks of light had flown out, scattering in different directions toward the four corners of the world. Now, with more than a dozen streaks of light falling directly into the city, how could the martial artists not be agitated? Some warriors couldn't help but have a thought emerge in their hearts. Could this opportunity be destined for me? What a great opportunity! The innate realm experts in the city instantly used their movement techniques to chase after the points where the light streaks were landing. The light streaks were extremely fast, much faster than the movement techniques of the innate realm experts. And they were not gathered together, but were also falling in multiple directions toward Holy City. As a result, the innate realm experts within the city were suddenly stirred, each flying toward the streaks of light they had set their sights on. Among them, a few particular streaks of light were especially eye-catching. There are several streaks of light gathering together, falling in the same direction. Looking at the position, it seems to be near the Tianji building. What does Tianji building matter? Opportunity is before us. Those who are destined will get it. Does Tianji building really dare to block us? Immediately after, more than a dozen innate realm experts rushed toward the location of the Tianji building. The aura emitted by more than a dozen innate realm experts gathering together was naturally formidable beyond words. Along the way, anyone who sensed such immense might stepped aside as if evading venomous snakes, not daring to obstruct them in the slightest. Initially, there were also some postnatal realm martial artists who had seen the light streaks and wanted to try their luck. But just as they were about to move, they were swept over by this overpowering aura, instantly becoming stiff and frightened, no longer daring to make the slightest move. While the group of innate realm experts were rushing toward Tianji building, in a small courtyard, Lu Qing and his companions stared at the sky above in some astonishment, because what they discovered was that the streaks of light seemed to be headed straight for them. The light streaks traveled incredibly fast. Within just a few breaths, they were above the small courtyard. Then, as if they had a specific target, they split apart and swooped down toward Lu Qing and his friends. 3 of them headed for Little Yen, Little Li, and Hu Zheji. A thought flickered in Lu Qing's heart, but since he didn't sense any dangerous aura, he didn't intervene and let them enter their bodies. The remaining 2 streaks of light moved toward Lu Qing and the elder doctor. However, this time Lu Qing didn't allow it to enter his body unimpeded. A faint white light emanated from his palm as he reached for the streaks of light. The light streaks had no aggressiveness and were calmly captured in Lu Qing's hand. The elder doctor also did the same, condensing true qi in his palm and grabbing the streak of light that was pouncing on him. Mr. Lu. Hu Zheji looked toward Lu Qing somewhat frantically. On the other hand, Little Yen and Little Li were completely befuddled. There's no need to worry. This should not harm you, Lu Qing reassured them, though his mind also harbored some doubts. It wasn't too surprising for Hu Zheji to receive origin energy from heaven, as her life was filled with great fortune, and she was naturally beloved by the world. But what he couldn't understand was why they too had origin energy actively flying toward them. Could it be that the will of the heavenly Tao had already chosen their owners for these origin energies in this invisible realm? Ah Qing, what is this? Although deep down he longed for the light streak in his hand, the elder doctor didn't impulsively allow the unknown substance to enter his body. Lu Qing used his superpower to quickly examine it, and soon, a smile appeared on his face. Master, this is a precious treasure, the origin energy of the world, the very opportunity we have been sensing all along. Just by absorbing it into our bodies, we would reap enormous benefits. Origin energy of the world? The elder doctor looked at the flowing light in his hand and, upon closer examination, discovered that it was indeed a stream of energy that seemed both white and gray, chaotic like the primordial void. Its form was like that of a dragon or serpent, constantly changing, truly profound. How then should we utilize this item? Simply by drawing it into our body and refining it with our heart and spirit. However, Master, I fear we may not have the time to refine it at the moment. Lu Qing looked ahead, and at the same time, the elder doctor's expression shifted as he sensed many powerful auras rushing towards them. The next moment, over a dozen silhouettes appeared atop the courtyard wall surrounding them, and immediately, they saw the flowing light in the hands of the elder doctor and Lu Qing. Sensing the strong pull from it, a group of innate realm experts' eyes shone brightly. The opportunity is there. Kid, hand over the item. It's not meant for you to possess. Old man, if you don't want to die, Give up what's in your hands. Fellow Taoists, the flowing light in your hands is fated for us. Please kindly return it. A group of innate realm experts shouted, demanding Lu Qing and the elder doctor relinquish the flowing light. At this time, these innate realm experts also sensed an aura of opportunity emanating from Little Yen and others. Clearly, the other missing streams of light were on them. With this, everyone's hearts grew even more eager, and their gazes even greedier. If it were not for the fact that they were in Tianji Building's territory, plus a faint premonition of warning, they might have already taken action to snatch it away directly. At this moment, two people among the group of innate realm experts shuddered when they clearly saw the faces of Lu Qing and the elder doctor, disbelief evident in their eyes. "It's you." Just then, Lu Qing also recognized them. He lifted his eyes in surprise, not expecting to encounter familiar faces at this time. Indeed, among the group of innate realm experts, Lu Qing saw the familiar figures of Wang Cangyi and his senior disciple, Zhao Xiong, whom they had encountered more than 2 years ago. "Junior brother Wang? Nephew Zhao? Do you know these two?" a skinny elder asked. "Elder, this old and young pair are the master and disciple who defeated us and fled 2 years ago, and also the masterminds behind junior brother Tong's death." Zhao Xiong spoke respectfully. A cold light flickered in Wang Cangyi's eyes. He was no fool. Having retreated in defeat from Tsang County, he had already surmised. The disappearance of his other direct disciples must be related to Lu Qing and his master. He recalled how he was close to seizing the exotic treasure from the Wei family, only for Lu Qing and his master to intervene at the last moment, causing his failure. And now they were intercepting the fortune descending from heaven. Old grudges not yet settled. New hatred added. Murderous intent surged in Wang Cangyi's heart. He spoke in a grim voice. "Yes, elder brother, these two are extremely sly and cunning, especially the old man who appears benign but has already grasped a whiff of the innate realm intent. I was careless at the time and lost because of his move. You must be cautious and must not fall into his trap." Wang Cangyi deliberately raised his voice so that everyone around could hear. Innate realm intent. Indeed, upon hearing this, all innate realm experts' expressions changed. Those who could realize the domain realm must be at least innate realm early-stage experts or above. The old man appeared unremarkable, yet he had comprehended such a profound intent? Instantly, the previously greedy innate realm experts were all shaken in their hearts and spirits, showing a wary expression. Chapter 423. The Power of One Slash. "It seems we've become the target for all," Lu Qing said, holding the origin energy in his hand, gazing at the gathering of innate realm experts in front of him with a calm expression, yet feeling somewhat helpless in his heart. This time, the origin energy had unexpectedly flown to their side, catching him off guard. He had initially thought that he would need to fight to seize this opportunity. Unexpectedly, the opportunity had actively sought them out. However, this put Lu Qing in a difficult dilemma. From the moment the white vortex appeared, he had felt that the rules between heaven and earth were evolving towards a stable state. This had driven his desire to break through to a peak. He had intended to take this opportunity to break through, but unexpectedly, the white vortex suddenly brought the origin energy directly to them. Holding the origin energy, he felt the strong attraction emanating from it. Lu Qing knew that once he absorbed it into his body, he would no longer be able to suppress his cultivation level and would immediately break through. Postnatal realm martial artists were at their weakest when breaking through to the innate realm. The predatory-looking innate realm experts in front of him would certainly not just stand by and watch him condense an innate body. Could this be my tribulation? Lu Qing's thoughts spun, and he came to a realization. According to the records of the Lihua sect, during the cultivation era, those exceptionally powerful cultivators often had to endure fated tribulations to ascend and break through. These tribulations could be natural disasters, human calamities, or even tests of their own moral integrity. In essence, only those who endured various hardships were qualified to wield greater power. Here he was on the verge of a breakthrough, yet a group of innate realm experts intended to snatch his opportunity. Could this be considered a form of human calamity? Just as Lu Qing's enlightenment deepened, and his understanding of the cultivation path grew, the innate realm experts on the opposing side had also regained their composure. What use is understanding the innate realm intent if there are many of us? Even if he reached the great success peak of the innate realm, he could be defeated. Why should we fear an old man who has merely grasped a whiff of domain intent? Right, old man? Hurry up and hand over the opportunity with that kid next to you. Or don't blame us for being rude. Wang Tsangyi even shouted. Fellows, no need for further talk. Let's take them down directly. Over 10 innate realms, most of whom were seasoned innates of the innate realm early stage or higher. The combined might bearing down on Lu Qing and his companions was terrifying. Hu Ziji and Ma Gu, his disciple, showed signs of discomfort. A single innate realm's pressure was already unbearable for postnatal realm martial artists like them, let alone the combined pressure from so many innate realms. However, at that moment, a gentle aura emanated from the elder doctor, blocking all the innate pressure, alleviating the pressure on Ma Gu and his group. You do have some tricks up your sleeve, but old man, can you really hold off so many of us on your own? Since you refuse to see reason, don't blame us for being ruthless. Everyone, let's strike together. Seize the opportunity first, and then discuss how to distribute it. The innate realms on the other side were taken aback. But taken aback as they were, at this stage they could not retreat. And they were confident, no matter how formidable the elder doctor was, he could not withstand so many of them joining forces. Immediately, ignoring any sense of morality, their momentum exploded. Instantly they shattered the ground beneath their feet and charged toward Lu Qing and his companions. Among them, Wang Tsangyi moved the fastest. This supreme elder of the Sky Tsang sect had plotted in Tsang County years ago and failed, all thanks to Lu Qing and the elder doctor. In his heart, he harbored a deep hatred toward this mentor and disciple pair. Seeing everyone attacking, he instantly exerted his movement technique to the utmost, getting ahead of everyone else, arriving in front of Lu Qing. Wang Tsangyi knew the elder doctor's realm was profound, and after 2 years, it was unknown whether he had achieved any new breakthroughs. Although he himself had secluded in his sect, diligently cultivating and successfully breaking through to the innate realm early stage over the past 2 years, he still wasn't fully confident in defeating the elder doctor. However, this young man in front of him was merely at the muscle-bone realm 2 years ago, and even if his talents were extraordinary, his cultivation couldn't have advanced too far in just 2 years. If he could kill this young man, he would not only avenge himself but also affect the elder doctor's state of mind, achieving 2 ends with 1 means. Other innate realms, seeing Wang Tsangyi take action first, were not anxious but secretly pleased. Since Wang Tsangyi was willing to take the lead, they were naturally happy to let him. In doing so, some even deliberately slowed their pace, allowing Wang Tsangyi to first assess their opponents. Thus, when Wang Tsangyi arrived in front of Lu Qing, he was already slightly ahead of the others. However, Wang Tsangyi couldn't care less about that. His enemy was right before him, his eyes showing a cruel gleam, and his sword, channeling true qi, thrust forward fiercely. "You little beast, die!" Wang Tsangyi had planned well, but just as his sword was about to pierce Lu Qing's throat, his mind suddenly sensed something amiss. Wait, why isn't this little guy showing any panic? Unfortunately, by the time this thought had risen in Wang Tsangyi's mind, it was already too late. A dazzling sword light ignited in front of him. The next instant, he felt as if his chest had been hammered by a siege ram, an unmatched power bursting forth from his chest. In a moment, his ribcage collapsed, countless bones breaking. Chapter 424. The entire person flew backward with even more speed than before, directly toward the person behind him. Master! Following Wang Tsangyi closely was his eldest disciple, Zhao Xiong. Seeing his master being sent flying by Lu Qing's saber, Zhao Xiong was shocked and without thinking, immediately stretched out his hands to catch his master. However, he had vastly underestimated the power of Lu Qing's saber strike. The instant his hands touched Wang Tsangyi's body, he felt an irresistible force that even with his strength at the initial innate realm, he couldn't fully absorb. His arms snapped with a crack, and then Wang Tsangyi crashed into him. Master and disciple turned into a rolling gourd, tumbling back more than 10 steps before coming to a stop. What? This sudden change startled all other innate realm experts present. They halted abruptly, staring in shock at the fallen figures of Wang Tsangyi and his disciple. Wang Tsangyi and his disciple presented a sorry state indeed. Especially Wang Tsangyi, whose chest was completely caved in. Blood continuously flowed from his mouth and nose, and his breaths were extremely weak. He seemed to have only a breath or two left. Zhao Xiong's condition was better by far, but both his arms were broken and blood oozed from his mouth and nose. Clearly his inner organs were also severely injured. Inner armor again, Wang Tsangyi. It appears that your lineage really fears death. Both master and disciple like never to part with their armor. Seeing that he hadn't killed Wang Tsangyi with one saber strike, Lu Qing was somewhat surprised. He recalled how during his battle with Tong Zonglong, his leather armor had also caused him quite some trouble. It seemed he had truly received Wang Tsangyi's authentic transmission. That old fellow was wearing inner armor at all times, armor that could even withstand his divine weapon battle saber. How has your strength improved so quickly? Wang Tsangyi had not passed out. His eyes were wide open, staring intensely at Lu Qing, filled with disbelief. He could hardly believe that the muscle-bone realm youth, who 2 years ago he had dismissed and could have crushed casually, could now inflict such severe injuries with just one saber strike. If he had not made a breakthrough in his cultivation during these 2 years and refined a piece of protective inner armor from a fortuitous encounter, perhaps he would have been cleaved in two by that strike. Thinking this, not only disbelief but a trace of fear flickered through Wang Tsangyi's eyes. He found it unimaginable how Lu Qing had cultivated and how he could possess such terrifying strength in just 2 short years. Zhao Xiong shared Wang Tsangyi's shock. He looked at Lu Qing, his eyes filled with incomprehension. Was this youth truly the same person he had fought to almost a draw 2 years ago? How could his strength have become so formidable in just 2 years? However, faced with Wang Tsangyi's questioning, Lu Qing didn't even deign to answer. He calmly looked at the other people around. Anyone else want to come over and fight for this opportunity? Seeing Lu Qing's calm demeanor, the other innate realm experts hesitated. They wanted to threaten harshly, but seeing the pitiful state of both master and disciple, they swallowed their words. Lu Qing's saber strike had been simply too horrifying. Not to mention Wang Tsangyi, who hadn't been able to react. Even they hadn't been able to see clearly how Lu Qing had wielded his saber. What did this indicate? It showed that Lu Qing's saber technique realm far exceeded theirs. Wang Tsangyi wasn't a weakling. His strength at the small success stage of the innate realm placed him in the middle upper layer among them. And yet, he couldn't even catch Lu Qing's saber strike. If it were them, they feared the result would be similar. However, despite their apprehension, the thought of leaving without trying gnawed at them. They had been here for so long while other opportunities had already been taken. Chasing those now would probably be too late. The palpable waves emitted from the Chenkuan Qi bag, unimaginably incredible treasures were surely within. Missing out would be a lifelong regret. Thinking this, the glare in the eyes of the innate realm experts slowly solidified. It seems you still don't want to give up, Lu Qing said, seeing the change in expression on the faces of those opposite him, instantly understanding their intentions. Your group occupies 5 streaks of flowing light with just a few people. Don't you think that's a bit excessive? Fortune falls from heaven, and the virtuous shall occupy it. You want to monopolize such a great opportunity. Aren't you afraid of divine retribution? We're not asking for much. Just hand over 2 streaks of flowing light, and we'll leave immediately. A powerful innate realm martial artist spoke out. This innate realm martial artist, clearly held in high regard among his peers, spoke, and although the others showed various expressions, none contradicted him. What a fortune to fall from heaven! Indeed the greedy are blinded, Lu Qing said with a slight smile. So you mean to say that you are the virtuous ones? Lu Qing continued. Since you're all shameless, I won't waste more words. With that, Lu Qing swung his long saber, sending out a streak of sword qi that cut a straight fissure into the ground. This line is the line between life and death. Those who step over it, die. Hearing this, all the innate realm martial artists' faces changed. The same innate realm martial artist couldn't help but say, "Don't you think you're being too domineering? This opportunity is given by the heavens and is ownerless. We just wanted to divide it into two parts, that's not too much. Why must you be so selfish? They say the more friends, the better the journey. If you're willing to share 2 streaks of fortune, we would definitely be grateful." Faced with such shameless words, Lu Qing replied with just one word, "Scram! Boy, don't be ungrateful." Seeing Lu Qing's intransigent manner, finally an innate realm martial artist couldn't help but retort, "Your saber technique is formidable, but if we come at you all at once, you might not necessarily be our match. Moreover, those few behind you are only postnatal realm martial artists. Even if your saber technique is exceptional, can you stop all of us? If we join forces, do you think any of them would survive? Are you threatening me?" Lu Qing lifted his eyelid, staring directly at the speaker. That innate realm martial artist, struck by Lu Qing's gaze, had his heart and spirit abruptly stagnate. Yet feeling the presence of many companions, he forced himself to calm down, continuing with a sinister smile, "Not really, I am not threatening you, but just reminding you alone you might handle us. But if we attack together, neither you nor your master may be able to protect everyone by your side. If something tragic happens then, it would be too late for regrets." However, no sooner had he finished speaking did he feel an overwhelming sense of dread rise from within. The next moment, Lu Qing's cold voice sounded, "Originally, I wanted to spare you all, but it seems you all ought to die." As his words fell, a whiff of killing intent spontaneously arose within the courtyard. Feeling this killing intent, all the innate realm experts felt as if they were falling into an icehouse, trembling uncontrollably, their faces showing immense fear. They had never felt such terrifying killing intent before. The chilling sensation emanating from the depths of their souls made everyone tremble immensely. Even more so, their bodies were suppressed on the spot by this killing intent, unable to move. Especially Wang Tsangyi, who was already severely injured, felt the prick of this killing intent and his injuries worsened, spurting out a large mouthful of fresh blood before fainting on the spot. It seemed he was only exhaling now without inhaling. But at this moment, no one had the heart to pay attention to Wang Tsangyi's condition anymore. All the innate realm martial artists stared in immense fear towards Lu Qing, because they could feel that the terrifying killing intent was emanating from Lu Qing. Just as Lu Qing's hand rested on the Chenkuan Qi bag at his waist, ready to disregard everything to annihilate all the innate realm experts before him, a voice suddenly rang out, "Young Master Lu, please show mercy." Chapter 425. Fear Star, Opportunity or Disaster. As these words fell, a figure landed between Lu Qing and the crowd from the innate realm. The newcomer, with white hair and beard, exuded the aura of a sage and happened to be the Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master. However, the expression of the Tower Master was anything but calm. Standing before Lu Qing, he then felt how terrifying the intent to kill truly was. Even with his formidable cultivation, he felt a piercing pain on his skin, his heart and spirit trembling, nearly driving him to turn around and leave immediately. But the Tower Master knew he could not leave. If Lu Qing were to kill all these figures from various powers within the innate realm, it would surely cause a tremendous upheaval. Not to mention the sex of these individuals from the innate realm would not let things rest. Even the 3 Saint Masters would undoubtedly intervene. By that time, even the Heavenly Mechanism Tower would struggle to bear the consequences. "Young Master Lu, please grant this old man face and spare these fellows just this once." The Tower Master bowed to Lu Qing, pleading earnestly. Lu Qing quietly watched the Tower Master, remaining silent. Likewise, the murderous aura emanating from him did not lessen. "Young Master Lu, don't be impulsive." Lin Jirui's figure also appeared at the gate of the courtyard, his face filled with urgency. If Lu Qing were to embark on a massacre here, the consequences would be unimaginable. Faced with Lin Jirui's entreaty, Lu Qing remained unmoved. Ah Qing, listen to the senior tower master. At this moment, the elder doctor spoke up. Lu Qing then gradually retracted the murderous intent radiating from him. All those from the innate realm who were oppressed by that terrible murderous aura finally breathed a sigh of relief, sweating profusely on their foreheads. However, before they could fully relax, Lu Qing had already pointed his long sword forward. All right, senior tower master, I'll give you this face. But even if I don't kill them all, this one must die. Lu Qing's long sword pointed at the skinny figure from the innate realm who had previously threatened him, using Little Yan's life. Sensing the evil qi emanating from Lu Qing, the face of the slender innate realm figure drastically changed. And his two companions, without a word, quickly stepped aside 2 steps. The slender innate realm's expression changed again. Knowing the others had been frightened by the murderous intent from Lu Qing earlier, unwilling to be further involved with him. His thoughts rapidly spinning, he forced a smile on his face and bowed apologetically to Lu Qing. This young master, please don't misunderstand. I was merely joking earlier, not actually intending to threaten. I apologize here to you. As long as young master can forgive this minor, any future orders you give, I shall not dare to disobey. Watching the slender innate realm bow and scrape, the other innate realms around felt a jolt of astonishment. This innate realm was known for his great temper. In the past, even among other innate realm cultivators, as long as their cultivation was lower than his, he would act haughtily. This was the first time they had seen him adopt such a low posture. But, recalling the scene from moments ago, they fell silent again. The murderous intent displayed by Lu Qing was truly too terrifying. It was the first time they felt the threat of death so vividly. In the face of death, all postures are false. Only staying alive is real. For a while, the other innate realm individuals felt fortunate in their hearts. Thankfully, they hadn't threatened Lu Qing's companions. Otherwise, those bowing and scraping now might include them. Faced with the slender innate realm's apology, Lu Qing's face remained unchanged. He coldly said, "Too late. The moment you uttered those words, your fate was sealed." At this statement, the slender innate realm felt an immediate sense of doom. He didn't think twice, immediately trying to use his movement technique to flee. However, just as his figure moved, an invisible massive force instantly pulled him back and suppressed him in place, making it impossible for him to leave. What is this? The slender innate realm was greatly alarmed. He could feel the force suppressing him now was different from the earlier soul-shaking murderous intent. It was a truly invisible force, like a spider web, completely binding and suppressing him, making his body unbearably heavy. Though not completely immobile, attempting to use his movement technique to escape was equally futile. What kind of method is this? The other innate realms, seeing the slender innate realm's body which had started to retreat unexpectedly snap back to its original position and being suppressed nearly immobile, were all greatly shocked, unable to understand by what means Lu Qing could achieve such an unimaginable feat. Using the primordial magnetic power, Lu Qing bound the slender innate realm, then walked toward him step by step with sword in hand. The heavenly mechanism tower master hesitated for a moment but ultimately did not speak up to dissuade. He knew that his appearance to prevent Lu Qing from a massacre likely already fostered resentment in this young man's heart. If further obstruction occurred, even the goodwill from before might be exhausted. As for the other innate realms, witnessing Lu Qing's strange and never-ending methods, they were already extremely wary, even more wary of hindering him in the slightest. Thus, Lu Qing walked step by step to the front of the slender innate, facing his horrified face, and raised his sword. "Please!" The slender innate realm hadn't finished his plea for mercy when the sword light fell. A fine head was already flying high into the air. Whoosh! As the body of the slender innate fell to the ground, Lu Qing carelessly released a sword qi, striking the already unconscious body of Wang Tsungi. Chapter 426. Wang Tsungi's body jerked violently, his already thread-like breath completely stopped, and the aura of life slowly dissipated. "Master!" Zhao Xiong's eyes almost split with rage as he lunged towards Lu Qing. But just as he lifted his head, a sword light had already filled his vision. Swoosh! Zhao Xiong's towering body was cleaved into two by a single sword chi from Lu Qing. Every martial artist in the innate realm shuddered deeply, chilled by Lu Qing's ruthlessness. Such intense killing intent in this youth, what sort of terrifying figure had they provoked this time? Even the Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master was startled by Lu Qing's decisive bloodletting. He had heard from Ji Rui that within Lu Qing lay an exceedingly heavy predisposition for killing, though he was somewhat incredulous. After all, since he had been in touch with Lu Qing, the youth had always seemed quite amiable. Now, witnessing Lu Qing dispatch 3 innate realm experts without batting an eye, he realized his disciple's words were true. After slaying Zhao Xiong, Lu Qing's gaze turned towards the remaining supreme elder from the Tiansong sect. Feeling the murderous intent in Lu Qing's eyes, the Tiansong sect's supreme elder was immediately stricken with fear. He hurriedly said, "Young master, please see clearly. I was unaware of Wang Tsongyi's grievances with you. I have nothing to do with this matter." At this point, the Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master also spoke up. "Indeed, young Master Lu, according to our Tianji Building's investigation, the encirclement of the Wei family back then was indeed a private decision made by Wang Tsongyi. Only then did Lu Qing shift his gaze and slowly return to his original position, looking towards the remaining dozen or so experts in the innate realm. What now? Do you all not wish to leave? Or do you intend to have another go with me?" Upon hearing this, the remaining experts in the innate realm felt as though they had received a great pardon. "Thank you, young master, for not dwelling on the past. We appreciate young master's magnanimity. We have caused enough disturbance. We will take our leave now." After a series of flatteries, the group of innate realm experts immediately employed their movement techniques and left the courtyard. They moved so fast that they were even quicker than when they had arrived. As for the 3 corpses, they were left untouched, abandoned right there. "Young Master Lu, you were still too impulsive, slaying these 3 people. This will likely bring you no small amount of trouble in the future," sighed the Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master. "I had no choice, Tower Master. You wouldn't let me slaughter them all," Lu Qing said indifferently. "Young Master Lu, please don't misunderstand. It's not that I insisted on stopping you. Amongst those who arrived just now were high-ranking members from 7 or 8 major sect forces. If you had killed them all, once their sects stirred up trouble, the 3 Saint Masters would definitely intervene to seek justice. Whatever the outcome, it would be very unfavorable for you," explained the Tower Master. Lu Qing fell silent. He had considered this issue as well. Killing more than a dozen innate realm experts in one fell swoop was certain to cause an uproar. Given Holy Mountain's usual stance, they would surely send someone to investigate. While he was not overly concerned about the others, Lu Qing always harbored wariness towards the 3 enigmatic Saint Masters. That was why at first, he did not immediately move to kill the others besides Wang Tsongyi. It was only when the diminutive innate realm expert threatened the life of Little Yen and the others that he truly felt the urge to commence a massacre, wishing to annihilate those people without regard for the consequences. However, although it was easy to eradicate them, dealing with the aftermath would put them in great difficulty. If Holy Mountain intervened, whether they could leave Central State without issue was indeed a problem. After all, the 3 Saint Masters were profoundly enigmatic, and even bearing a spiritual artifact, Lu Qing could not confidently claim to be fearless. Let alone the fact that the Chenquan Qi bag, after being nurtured for so long, only had the strength for 1 strike. Once used up, it would take quite some time to recover. In the end, it all came down to his own lack of strength. Reflecting on this, Lu Qing immediately paid his respects to the Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master. "Thank you, Tower Master, for your guidance. I was indeed reckless in the matter just now." Seeing that Lu Qing was not angry, the Tower Master smiled. "Fortunately, you were still able to restrain yourself, even though you killed 3 men. But Wang Tsongyi and his disciples already bore enmity with you, and this time they were the first to act against you. Killing them was merely a private grievance and indeed justified. As for Lung Tao, although there will be some trouble, in the end, he was the one who threatened your family first. Even if it goes to Holy Mountain, it will likely only result in a matter of debate and should not greatly affect you. So you need not worry too much, as things have not become unmanageable now. Even if they petition to the Holy Mountain, it is highly probable that the 3 Saint Masters wouldn't care either. Lu Qing nodded, and he had some enlightenment. It seemed that, apart from those matters that affected the overall situation, the Saint Masters generally would not pay attention to common vendettas and conflicts. By the way, Elder Tower Master, just now from within the white vortex above the Holy Mountain came flying numerous streaks of light. Among them, several fell into our hands. Do you know why this happened? Lu Qing presented the streak of light he was holding to the Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master. He wasn't worried that the Tower Master would harbor malicious intentions and snatch the origin energy. Firstly, he didn't sense any greed from the Tower Master. Secondly, he had absolute confidence that unless it was a peerless martial artist above the innate perfection, no one could easily snatch something from his hands. As expected, the Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master showed a look of amazement upon seeing the light in Lu Qing's hand, but no malicious intentions emerged. He simply smiled and said, "What is called destiny is determined by the heavens. Since these lights have flown to you on their own, it seems that the will of the Heavenly Tao believes you are qualified to obtain this opportunity. It's fate, young master, you needn't worry. I've noticed, Elder, that within the holy city, not only has light fallen here, but elsewhere too. I wonder what has happened in those places. Has there been a struggle for them as well?" Lu Qing inquired. A hint of sorrow showed in the Tower Master's eyes. "Not to hide from young Master Lu, I have just returned from outside. Your guess is correct. Where the lights fell, indeed significant conflicts erupted, resulting in many deaths and injuries. Otherwise, he wouldn't have returned so late and almost let Lu Qing go on a killing spree." Lu Qing understood in his heart. He wasn't surprised by what the Tower Master said. After all, even here, so many in the innate realm had appeared. How could no one try to seize the other lights? Seeing the sorrow on the Tower Master's face, Lu Qing knew this elder was a person who deeply cared for the fate of the world. Seeing the many deaths and injuries in the city, his heart must be heavy now. But he didn't say anything. With the Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master's experience and wisdom, his understanding of the ways of the world was much deeper than Lu Qing's. It wasn't Lu Qing's place as a young man to be offering consolation. He thought for a moment. The city was in chaos now, and it was uncertain what might happen next. The priority at the moment was to enhance his own strength. So he said to the Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master, "Elder Tower Master, now my teacher and I have fortuitously obtained an opportunity. We need to refine it as soon as possible to conceal its aura. Otherwise, if other martial arts experts sense it, I'm afraid there will be more trouble." "You are right. This matter cannot be delayed." The Tower Master regained his composure. "You better refine the opportunity quickly to avoid further complications. Jirue and I will act as your protectors." The most important thing was, if someone came to snatch the opportunity again and triggered the fury in Lu Qing's heart, even he wouldn't be able to stop him from going on a killing spree. Right there and then, the Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master and Lin Jirue sat cross-legged outside the courtyard. Ma Gu and his disciples likewise stood guard outside the yard. As for Lu Qing and the elder doctor, they returned to the house with Little Yen, Little Li, and Hu Ziji. "Teacher Little Li, you two refine the origin energy first, and I will protect you," Lu Qing said. Even with the Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master and Lin Jirue guarding outside, Lu Qing was still vigilant. He didn't want to fully entrust his safety to others. "Okay." The elder doctor didn't say much, just nodded his head, then immediately absorbed the light he had been holding into his body and began the refinement process. As for Little Li, he had already fallen into a deep sleep as usual. "Mr. Lu, what about us?" Hu Ziji asked. The scale of the previous confrontation had frightened her terribly. She could never have dreamed that one day she would be targeted by so many at the innate realm. "Your cultivation levels are still shallow, and you are not yet able to refine this origin energy. Just leave it be for now. In a few days, it'll naturally integrate into your bodies. I'll craft a couple of talismans for you when I have time, which should be able to conceal your auras, Lu Qing explained. Thank you for that, Mr. Lu. Seeing that Lu Qing had a plan, Hu Zhi let out a big sigh of relief. Just then, a powerful aura suddenly emanated from the elder doctor's body. Chapter 427. Refinement of Origin Energy, Tribulation Cloud. Master has made another breakthrough in his cultivation. Lu Qing sensed the change in the elder doctor's aura and was pleasantly surprised. Not long after, the elder doctor opened his eyes, his aura retracted, and he once again appeared like an ordinary old man. Even the aura of the origin energy was completely concealed. Congratulations, Master, on your cultivation breakthrough. Lu Qing was the first to offer his felicitations. This origin energy is indeed mystical. No wonder it drives so many martial arts experts mad, the elder doctor exclaimed. He had only just begun refinement, and his cultivation had already reached the peak of great success, just a hair's breadth away from the innate perfection realm. With a bit more accumulation, his ascension to the perfect innate realm was imminent. What was more important was that the origin energy was now hidden within his Dantian Qi Si, slowly merging with his body. The elder doctor could feel that once the origin energy was fully integrated into his body, his root bone talent would likely undergo an earth-shattering transformation. Moreover, the elder doctor could sense that within this origin energy, there existed an essence that was broad enough to encompass all things. Should he be able to comprehend even a fraction of it, it would greatly benefit his own realm advancement. Ah Qing, I have now preliminarily refined the origin energy and can control its aura from leaking out. Now it's your turn to refine it, the elder doctor said. Lu Qing glanced at little Li, who was still in deep slumber, looking like it would take quite some time to awaken. Therefore, he decided not to wait any longer. He nodded and said, "All right, but Master, once I refine this origin energy, I should formally enter the innate realm, so please pay more attention." "You're finally about to break through?" the elder doctor said excitedly. He knew that his disciple had long since reached the postnatal perfect realm and even possessed divine soul power stronger than his own. It was only for some reason that he had been suppressing his own cultivation and had not broken through. Now seeing that Lu Qing was finally about to break through, he too felt relieved. However, the elder doctor was also curious. "Ah Qing, all this time, you have not broken through. Is it because of this origin energy?" "That's only part of the reason," Lu Qing shook his head. "As for the detailed reasons, let me discuss them with you after the breakthrough, Master." When Lu Qing and the others had entered the house, the massive white vortex in the sky had long since dissipated. The evolution of the laws of heaven and earth had officially entered a new level, completely stabilized. It was for this reason that Lu Qing's desire to break through had reached a peak. He felt he could hardly hold on without breaking through. "Good, then you break through." The elder doctor could tell something was afoot and immediately encouraged. Lu Qing took the origin energy, which he had been wrapping with true qi in his hand, into his body. Once the origin energy entered his body, it went straight into his Dantian Qi Si. Lu Qing immediately began to refine it with his heart and spirit. In the next moment, with a booming sound, his consciousness entered a mysterious state, full of insights rising from his heart. So that's how it is. This origin energy can not only remodel one's root bone talent, allowing one to be reborn and become a peerless genius rarely seen in the world. The all-encompassing, evolving essence of all things that it contains is also a great opportunity. Just understanding a part of the principles within it can bring huge benefits. Subconsciously, Lu Qing initiated the cultivation state of his superpower, absorbing the Tao rhythm breath from the origin energy with all his might. As Lu Qing entered the cultivation state, fully engrossed in contemplating and absorbing the origin energy. In the holy city, the struggle for the origin energy was gradually reaching its climax. In a certain alley, corpses lay everywhere, including some powerful martial artists, endowed with innate essence. However, The once high and mighty innate realm experts had now become corpses, dying untimely deaths. Among the corpses, a burly Great Han was gasping for breath, supporting his body with a long blade. His body bore several deep and gruesome wounds, but the burly Great Han was utterly indifferent to his own injuries at the moment. He looked at the radiance he was clutching in his hands, seemingly mad, and burst into laughter. Finally, I am the last one standing. This opportunity has ultimately fallen into my hands. The Great Han thought back with trepidation to earlier events. Originally, he and his senior brother had come in pursuit of this radiance, arriving at this place. They just so happened to witness the light entering the body of a young muscle-bone realm boy. Without a second word, they killed the boy, and after the boy's death, the radiance reappeared. However, just as they were about to seize the radiance, another group of strong competitors emerged, seeking to snatch the opportunity. Several of them had cultivation levels not inferior to the brothers. Fortunately, after years of cultivating together with great understanding, the brothers joined forces and managed to kill all the assailants. But who would have thought, just as they had eliminated their enemies, the senior brother suddenly turned traitor, thrusting his sword towards his heart. Remembering that ruthless sword from before, the burly Great Han's heart contracted. Had it not been for the divine weapon-level heart-protecting mirror he accidentally obtained during his travels in his earlier years, he would have been pierced through the heart by his senior brother and perished on the spot. Senior brother, you would have never guessed that I had the fortune of a divine weapon heart-protecting mirror to fend off your signature heart-piercing sword. The burly Great Han, still somewhat pale-faced, looked at the head of his dead senior brother with unshut eyes. Chapter 428. Although he took advantage of his senior brother's momentary daze to behead him, he still suffered serious injuries. The heart-piercing sword of his senior brother was no joke. Even with the protection of a divine weapon, his internal organs were still bleeding from the powerful shockwave. However, the opportunity ultimately belongs to me. Rest assured, senior brother, although you were unkind, I shall not be unjust. Once I have refined this opportunity and achieved the status of supreme power, that will be the moment to fulfill the oath we once took before our master to revive our Mingshan sect. The burly man's face showed determination as he swallowed the stream of light in his hand. However, just as he was about to leave to find a hidden place to refine the opportunity, an unknown black figure appeared behind him. In the next instant, the burly man trembled and incredulously looked at the hand protruding from his own chest. Above that hand, a red heart was throbbing vigorously. As for the divine weapon, the heart-protecting mirror that had saved his life, it had already fallen beside the corpse of his senior brother. How is this possible? The burly man's face was filled with disbelief. His divine soul power was dispersed throughout his body, remaining vigilant to his surroundings. How could someone get behind him without his noticing? The burly man struggled to turn his head to get a glimpse of the face of the person who had ambushed him. With a gentle shake of the black figure's hand, a dark aura surfaced, and the burly man's heart was crushed, his life force rapidly drained. Feeling his chi blood rapidly leaving his body, the burly man's eyes suddenly widened, revealing an indescribable terror. Demonic! Practitioner of the demon path. As he spoke these words, his chi blood drained even faster. His whole body began to wither, quickly becoming gaunt, and his life force completely dissipated. Until his death, the burly man could not see who had attacked him. As the burly man perished, a stream of light suddenly burst from his body, attempting to fly towards the sky. But in the next moment, a hand wreathed in a dark aura gently blocked it and grasped it in hand. The third strand of origin energy, excellent. With these 3 strands of origin energy, my demon body can finally be truly condensed. Even the usually indifferent black figure could not help but reveal a look of elation. However, his brow quickly furrowed again. These old fools are tenacious. Well, it matters not, since I've already obtained the 3 strands of origin energy. It's time to leave. Once my demon body is fully trained, dealing with these old fools will be as easy as flipping my hand. With that, the black figure placed the origin energy into a jade bottle, and with a flicker had already disappeared from the alley. Moments after the black figure vanished, several Taoists donned in Taoist robes suddenly appeared in the alley. Had Lin Jirue been there, he would certainly have recognized one of them as Qingyang Temple's Yangming Taoist, who had mocked Suspended Mountain earlier at Holy Mountain. He got away again. Yangming Taoist, ignoring the corpses strewn on the ground, sensed the remnants of energy in the alley with some irritation. He immediately took out an 8-diagram compass and activated it with his heart and spirit. The compass's needle began to spin rapidly. Yangming brother, are you sure the black-robed man who took our light was from the demon path? One of the Taoists asked. There's no mistake, he may disguise himself well, but one whiff of his aura and I knew it was the undeniably pure energy of the demon path. Yangming Taoist confirmed as he operated the compass. But were not the remnants of the demon path eradicated by our 4 great secret places, together with Holy Mountain years ago? How did that person, with such deep cultivation, learn such pure demon Tao techniques? Asked the Taoist, puzzled. That's exactly why it's strange. We must apprehend him. Alas, flight is forbidden within the holy city, and even our magic artifacts cannot soar through the sky. Otherwise, how could this demon have eluded us for so long? All right, I have found the direction in which he fled. Follow me. After observing the direction in which the compass needle finally stopped, Yangming Taoist, sensing for a moment, immediately launched his movement technique and pursued. Seeing this, the other Taoists did not hesitate and followed suit. Although they desired to continue competing for the opportunity, the temple master had told them before leaving that they must follow the commands of Yangming brother, no matter what. Besides, they had already seized a few strands of light, and dividing them would allow each to receive a share. So he decided to heed brother Yangming's advice and first set about capturing demons and subduing evil forces. After all, the man in the black robe possessed a stream of light, so if they could capture him, it wouldn't be for nothing. The Taoists from the Qingyang Temple, led by Yangming Taoist, chased the traces of the man in the black robe throughout the holy city. But that man in the black robe was equally formidable. Even though they had the help of magic artifacts to track his aura, they often lost him just as they were about to catch up. Damn it! Losing track of the man in the black robe once again, Yangming Taoist's face showed a look of annoyance. This demon child was far too slippery, having played tricks on him several times en route. He swore that once he caught him, he would torture him severely to repay the mockery and humiliation. Just as Yangming Taoist pulled out the compass to continue the search for the black-robed man's aura. Suddenly, he felt a hair-raising sensation emerge in his heart. As he was startled, trying to figure out what was happening, one of the Taoists behind him suddenly pointed to the sky and shouted in alarm, "What is that?" Yangming Taoist looked up in the direction his junior brother pointed. Then, in the next moment, his eyes widened in disbelief, filled with a look of utter astonishment. Tribulation cloud. How can this ghostly thing appear here? What tribulation cloud, brother Yangming? Do you recognize that thing? A Taoist asked. However, Yangming Taoist had no mood to answer this question at the moment. His mind was in turmoil, staring intently at the gray cloud in the sky, trying to confirm if it was indeed what he thought it was. What is that? A cloud? How can there be a cloud so low, and it's gray? Such a terrifying aura. Could it be that another opportunity is about to emerge? As Yangming Taoist and the others discovered the gray cloud, many others around the holy city also noticed this bizarre scene. After all, the gray cloud appeared strangely and emitted an extremely dangerous aura. Anyone with a bit of cultivation could not fail to sense the chilling and dreadful aura. Tribulation cloud? The heaven and earth rules have just stabilized. How could a tribulation cloud appear? The black-robed man, separated by several streets from Yangming Taoist and others, also stared at the gray cloud in the sky with a shocked face. The man of mysterious origins possessed knowledge far surpassing his cultivation level. He recognized at a glance that the gray cloud in the sky was an undeniable tribulation cloud. But it was precisely because he recognized the origin of the gray cloud that he was even more astonished. After all, such a thing could not just appear randomly. Usually, it was only when some extraordinarily abnormal entity was about to be born that the heaven and earth rules were touched upon and the tribulation clouds emerged. What is about to be born? A living creature or a treasure? The black-robed man had just shaken off the annoying snotty noses of the Qingyang Temple and was planning to leave the city directly. But the emergence of the tribulation cloud made it difficult for him to take a step forward. If this was the emergence of an exotic treasure and he missed it, it would be a regret that would last a lifetime. Moreover, he felt that there was a 9 out of 10 chance that an exotic treasure was about to emerge. After all, the heaven and earth rules of this realm had just been newly established, and it was improbable that any defying entity could trigger a tribulation cloud. Even those 3 old fools on the holy mountain probably couldn't do it. Those 3 had deep cultivation but were not yet so defiantly powerful. So it must be an exotic treasure about to emerge. This place was the holy city that had existed for who knows how many tens of thousands of years, and it made perfect sense that it contained treasures from the cultivation era. With this thought, a greedy glint flashed in the eyes of the black-robed man, who no longer hesitated and immediately used his movement technique to rush toward the site. Chapter 429. Gathering from all sides, crossing the tribulation. Looking at the position of the tribulation cloud, it seems to be near the Tianji building. The black-robed man, executing his movement technique, continually shuttled through the shadows in the streets and alleys, while in his mind, he calculated the area where the tribulation cloud was located. Soon, he deduced that the location of the tribulation cloud was exactly where the Tianji building was, the place he had been closely monitoring these past few days. The Tianji building is where an exotic treasure emerges. It seems their method of divination indeed has some tricks. The holy city was vast, but the black-robed man's speed was not slow, and soon he arrived not far from the Tianji building. However, he did not continue to approach. Instead, he found a shadowy spot, completely concealed his aura, and lay low. The black-robed man was a pure demon cultivator. Although his technique for hiding his aura was outstanding, and even ordinary innate realm experts could hardly detect any clues, it would be impossible to deceive the will of heaven and earth, especially the tribulation cloud, a special phenomenon manifested by the heaven and earth laws, which was extremely sensitive to the aura of the demon path. If he approached too closely, it was likely that the tribulation cloud would be the first to attack him. Thus, the safest method was to wait until the tribulation cloud dissipated. Then he would sneak in to see if he could snatch some easy pickings. Just as the black-robed man neatly concealed his form, several powerful presences passed by him. He glanced at them. It was those few insistent Taoists who had been following him like a bad smell. But now, the Taoists were attracted by the tribulation cloud above and did not notice him hidden in the corner, heading straight forward. The black-robed man did not move, still calmly lying low in the dark corner. It didn't take long before he saw several groups pass by his side. All of them had strong presences and deep cultivation. None was a weakling. But then again, although the tribulation cloud had not fully formed, the dangerous aura it emitted was already quite alarming. Ordinary martial artists could not withstand that terrifying pressure and approach this area. When he saw a group of monks passing by, the black-robed man's heart jolted slightly. As a demon cultivator, he found these practitioners of Buddha Dharma, especially the bald monks, particularly detestable. Seeing so many strong fighters gathering here, the black-robed man became even more cautious. His aura became even more deeply concealed. He decided that unless there was an excellent opportunity, he would absolutely not make a move. Otherwise, with so many experts here, once his identity was revealed, even if he had life-saving techniques, it was not guaranteed that he would be able to escape unscathed. Amitabha, Yangming Taoist, I have limited experience. May I inquire whether that is the legendary tribulation cloud in the sky? In front of the Tianji building, Monk Xianming was asking humbly. Humph, Monk Xianming, stop playing dumb. With the resources of your suspended mountain, can you really not recognize what that thing is up there? Could it be that you're concocting some distasteful scheme again? However, Yangming Taoist didn't give monk Xianming any face, and retorted with mockery. Seeing Yangming Taoist speak so rudely, the other monks glared furiously. Only monk Xianming remained unflustered, just shaking his head with a smile, and did not take offense. Seeing that even this didn't rouse monk Xuanming's anger, Yangming Taoist felt somewhat wary. This old monk was too tolerant, and his schemes too deep, making it somewhat elusive to Yangming. However, what Yangming Taoist was more concerned about than his wariness towards monk Xianming was the tribulation cloud above. A tribulation cloud signified the birth of an existence beyond normal comprehension. It indicated either the breakthrough of supreme experts or the emergence of exotic treasures and heavenly materials and earthly treasures. Considering the spiritual energy recovery had not been underway for long, it was unlikely for such a powerful entity that could trigger a tribulation cloud to appear. Heavenly materials and earthly treasures needed time to gestate into form and evidently would not emerge at this time. The most likely scenario was the impending emergence of an exotic treasure. After all, the history of the Holy City was too ancient, already existing since the last cultivation era. No one knew how many secrets were concealed within it. If they suggested that an exotic treasure lay hidden beneath, it was indeed very possible. It's just unknown what the emergence of this exotic treasure augured. If it were to fall into the hands of Suspended Mountain, the consequences would be unimaginable. With this thought in mind, Yangming Taoist's heart also rose with apprehension, and he silently guarded against the actions of monk Xianming and his group. If it truly was an exotic treasure, it could fall into anyone's hands, but it absolutely must not end up with the bald monks of Suspended Mountain. Big Brother, according to the records of our Cloudwater secret realm, the appearance of tribulation clouds likely indicates the emergence of an exotic treasure. As long as we can seize it, our Cloudwater secret realm's strength will surge immensely. In another direction, the disciples of the Cloudwater secret realm also stared wide-eyed at the tribulation cloud in the sky. Don't be rash. This tribulation cloud's appearance is too abnormal. I fear something bad might happen. We have already captured quite a few streams of light. Our objective for this trip has been met. Let's wait and see how things unfold, and not be greedy. The senior disciple of the Cloudwater secret realm said, his face showing no signs of excitement, but rather somberness. He had an inexplicable premonition in his heart, feeling that the tribulation cloud was not as simple as the birth of an exotic treasure. Unfortunately, the area ahead was now obscured by the aura of the tribulation cloud, and no one dared to use divine soul power to investigate the situation within. Otherwise, if they were ensnared by the tribulation chi and struck by a bolt of tribulation thunder, they would be annihilated. Not even a god could save them then. Chapter 430. So everyone could only wait patiently, waiting for the tribulation cloud to disperse, and then the truth would naturally come to light. Elder Chun, what has happened inside? Where is young Master Lu? As powers from all around converged upon Tianji building at this time. Inside a small courtyard, Elder Doctor and the others were equally at a loss. Not long ago, Lu Qing had entered a state of cultivation, refining origin energy. At the beginning, everything was fine, but over time, the aura emitting from Lu Qing became more and more dangerous. And regrettably, Lu Qing had entered the deepest level of meditative cultivation, completely unaware of any changes in the outside world. With no other choice, Elder Doctor had to lead Little Yen, Little Li, and the rest out of the room to the courtyard outside. Only after coming out did they notice an ominous gray cloud had appeared in the sky above, enveloping the overhead space of the courtyard. Ah Qing is still inside cultivating and has not awakened yet. Tower Master, what is this gray cloud in the sky? Could it possibly be targeting Ah Qing? Elder Doctor, feeling the dreadful presence within the gray cloud, asked. The heavenly mechanism Tower Master was also staring at the gray cloud above, showing a contemplative expression as if recalling something. Finally, when he remembered the origin of the gray cloud, his expression suddenly changed. He immediately said, "Quick, Dr. Chan, hurry and lead everyone away. This is a tribulation cloud. If we don't leave now, I'm afraid it will be too late later on." After speaking, he flashed forward, grabbing Ma Gu and Wei Zian by their shoulders, and moved outside the courtyard. At the same time, he urgently shouted, "All disciples of Tianji Building, withdraw immediately. Don't delay." Seeing this, Elder Doctor instantly understood the severity of the situation and didn't dare to hesitate either, promptly leading Little Yen and Hu Zizhi outside. Naturally, Lin Jirue followed close behind them to leave. In Tianji Building, the words of the Tower Master are holy orders. No one dared disobey, and soon, the disciples of Tianji Building had all evacuated beyond the sect's boundary. As for the Tower Master, he led Elder Doctor and the others to the top of a tall tower. From this vantage point, situated half a mile from the courtyard where Lu Qing stayed, they could clearly see what was happening there. "Master, did you say that the gray cloud in the sky is a tribulation cloud?" Looking at the gray cloud still gathering above the courtyard, its menacing power reaching a level enough to make one's heart tremble, Lin Jirue asked. "Yes, that is indeed a tribulation cloud, the kind said to appear only in the ancient era according to legend. I have only seen fragmented mentions of it in our Tianji Building's top-secret tomes. I never expected it to appear here." The heavenly mechanism Tower Master, watching the gray cloud in the sky that was almost solidifying into tangible form, remembered the tomes he had read and was utterly astounded. Rumor has it that whenever a tribulation cloud appears, it signifies the imminent emergence of an existence that defies common logic, which triggers the sympathy of heaven and earth rules, bringing forth a destiny to face. Only after passing through the trials can that unusual existence be born successfully. Could this tribulation cloud possibly be targeting young Master Lu? Lin Jirue continued to inquire. "I'm not sure." The Tower Master shook his head, but his mind was clear. He felt almost certain that the tribulation cloud was Dirigida at Lu Qing. He also understood why Lu Qing had always appeared so mysterious and formidable. Although he seemed to be only in the postnatal realm, he could fight against the innates, and even those in great success of the innate realm were no match for him. It turns out his power had already reached the heaven-defying extent that could provoke a tribulation cloud. Elder Doctor naturally thought of this as well, expressing his worry. "Tower Master, how can this tribulation be withstood?" "I do not know," replied the Tower Master, shaking his head. "Our Tianji Building has sparse records on the tribulation cloud. I only know that this entity, even in the era of abundant spiritual energy in ancient times, was rarely seen. Perhaps only those from the 4 great secret places would have detailed information concerning the tribulation cloud." Hearing this, Elder Doctor looked towards the courtyard with some anxiety. Although he had confidence in his disciple, confronted with a heaven and earth crisis such as the tribulation cloud, nobody could guarantee whether Lu Qing would successfully overcome it or not. Ma Gu and the others also thought of these issues, but looking at the gray cloud in the sky and feeling the terrifying aura emanating from within, they knew that they could not be of any assistance to Lu Qing. Only Little Yen, clinging tightly to the still unconscious Little Li, had eyes full of determination. She believed that her brother would surely defeat those dark clouds because he had said he would never leave her alone again. "Master, the tribulation clouds are changing again." Just as everyone was worrying, Lin Jirue suddenly spoke. Everyone quickly looked up to see that the gray tribulation clouds had indeed changed. The gray was deepening, trending towards black, and within the clouds, there were faint flashes of lightning that seemed about to strike down. And at this moment, within the small courtyard house invisible to all Lu Qing, who had been sitting cross-legged and practicing cultivation, suddenly opened his eyes. With astonishment still in his eyes, it is truly a chance that came with the spiritual energy recovery. This origin energy carries a hint of the world's origin, the evolution of all things, the inclusive essence of the Tao. Even though I have used my superpower, I have only partly comprehended it so far. But just this alone has brought immense benefits. If I were to fully understand it, it's simply unimaginable. Lu Qing was still immersed in the insights he had just gained when he suddenly felt a powerful force brewing above his head, seemingly targeting him. He was slightly startled. His divine soul power spread throughout his body, sensing the incoming heaven and earth rules. Very quickly, He had a realization and understood what was going on and also saw the gray clouds in the sky. So that's it, my accumulation is too profound, far exceeding the scope of what the postnatal realm should have. Now, it has triggered the reaction of the heaven and earth rules to bring down a trial to test me. In Lu Qing's mind, there was the complete inheritance of the Li Hua sect. Of course, he knew what the gray clouds in the sky were. At the same time, he also understood why his previous attempt to break through to the innate realm had failed. The reason was that his accumulation was too profound. He must go through the baptism of the trial to transform his body into an innate body. And at that time, the heaven and earth rules were still evolving and couldn't condense the tribulation clouds, which naturally also prevented him from advancing to the innate. In other words, Lu Qing's growth rate had surpassed the evolution speed of the heaven and earth rules. It made heaven and earth unable to meet the conditions for his breakthrough, only allowing him to be stuck in a strange realm where he could induce energy into his body and practice true qi. But his personal realm was still postnatal. Now that he understood what was happening, Lu Qing's heart settled down. Feeling the impending force within the tribulation clouds, a smile appeared on his face. A heavenly tribulation, huh? Let's see if you're really as fearsome as the legends say. With those words, his heart and spirit surged, and the aura around his body suddenly increased. His divine soul power burst forth from the third eye acupoint, resonating with the heaven and earth rules around him, drawing upon that mysterious force. Inside his body, the Dan Tian Qi Si emitted a strong suction force, like a jiaolong frolicking in the water, swallowing the surrounding heaven and earth primordial qi and spiritual energy, refining it into his own strength. At this moment, Lu Qing once again charged toward the innate realm. It seemed to sense Lu Qing's breakthrough. The tribulation clouds in the sky also reacted in an instant. They began to slowly rotate, and at their center, a bright light was condensing and flickering. Then, the next moment, under the shocked gaze of countless onlookers, a thunderclap rang out, and a white bolt of lightning struck straight down. Boom! The powerful power of thunder and lightning directly shattered the roof of the house where Lu Qing was, and even the surrounding walls exploded violently. As for Lu Qing in the center, he was struck squarely by the lightning without deviation. When the thunder and lightning scattered, the house where Lu Qing had been was nowhere to be seen, leaving only ruins. And Lu Qing, who had been sitting cross-legged at the center and took a direct hit from the lightning, now cut a sorry figure. His body was not only charred but in some places, the lightning had even pierced holes, looking extremely terrifying. Brother Lu Qing. Big brother. Mr. Lu. Young Master Lu. From atop the high tower, everyone who saw this scene couldn't help but shout out in alarm. Chapter 431. Vitality Qi, Continuous Descends of Tribulation Thunder. Truly worthy of the cultivation era, it strikes fear into countless cultivators. This heavenly tribulation blackened all over Lu Qing, although he heard the exclamations of Ma Gu and the others. His entire heart and spirit were focused on crossing the tribulation, leaving him no time to respond to them. Feeling the injuries on his body, Lu Qing could not help but sigh. The tribulation thunder that fell from the tribulation cloud was indeed terrifying. Even with his body that had surpassed limits numerous times and was far stronger than a normal innate realm's physical body, merely resisting one tribulation thunder left him severely injured. Now not only was his skin charred, but his body also had gaping holes. Even his internal organs were nearly half-cooked, and his meridians and acupoints were in complete disarray, almost utterly destroyed. Apart from the acupoints between his eyebrows, there wasn't a single spot on his body that wasn't damaged. It could be said that such injuries had completely reduced him to a cripple. However, despite the severe injuries, Lu Qing was not panicked, still looking serene, as if he was waiting for something. Immediately, the next moment, a mass of white fog spontaneously formed and enveloped him within. This white fog, full of vitality and containing a mysterious essence, touched Lu Qing's body and greatly reduced his pain. Lu Qing didn't hesitate, his cultivation technique circulating within him, and he absorbed all of the white fog into his body. Indeed, After the tribulation thunder comes vitality chi. The records left by the Li Hua sect do not deceive me. From the records left by the Li Hua sect, Lu Qing knew, the heaven and earth will manifested tribulation clouds and drop tribulation thunder. This was not meant to completely destroy the tribulation crosser, but rather a form of baptism and trial. Thus, although the tribulation cloud was terrifying, it also contained a hint of life force. After enduring each tribulation thunder, heaven and earth would bestow vitality chi. This vitality chi, mysterious and profound, could revive the dead, regrow flesh from bones, truly marvelous. Lu Qing felt that after the white fog was absorbed into his body, it quickly improved his internal organs and his meridians and acupoints began reconstructing themselves. Before long, Lu Qing's injuries had significantly healed. Not only were the holes in his body completely healed, but his physical body was even stronger than before the injuries. It's great. Brother Lu Qing is all right. This scene, witnessed by the people on the tower, instantly filled them with immense joy. Lu Qing's injuries initially appeared extremely frightening, and they feared he wouldn't last much longer. The tower master of Tianji Building also breathed a huge sigh of relief. But quickly, he noticed something wrong. His complexion changed, and he looked to the sky. It's not right. Why hasn't the tribulation cloud dispersed? Lu Qing was also looking up at the sky. At this moment, except for his charred skin, his injuries had almost completely healed. As for the burns on his skin, those were intentionally left by him. As the tribulation cloud was still there, his tribulation wasn't considered as past. He still needed to retain some vitality chi to confront the next tribulation thunder. According to the records of Li Hua sect, the tribulation clouds manifested by the heaven and earth will vary in power depending on their color. The gray tribulation clouds have the least power. But even among the gray tribulation clouds, there is a distinction. The weakest gray tribulation cloud releases only one tribulation thunder, while the strongest releases a full 9 tribulation thunders, each stronger than the preceding one. Lu Qing looked up at the tribulation cloud above him, not knowing how many tribulation thunders he would face this time. But with the tribulation cloud still in the sky, and its ominous presence growing, it was clear that he would be facing more than 1 or 2 thunders. Thus, he did not consume all the vitality chi at once, but rather saved some in his dantian for unforeseen needs. It seemed as if sensing that Lu Qing's injuries had healed, the heavens no longer hesitated, sending down another tribulation thunder immediately. And this tribulation thunder was thicker and more dazzling than the previous. Ah! On the tower above, Ma Gu and others, initially happy to see Lu Qing unharmed, cried out in shock again when they saw another tribulation thunder descending from the sky. Boom! This tribulation thunder was also bravely received by Lu Qing with his physical body. Tribulation thunder is both a tribulation and an opportunity. Only by withstanding more tribulation thunders can one receive greater fortunes bestowed by heaven and earth later. Certainly, he could use other methods to neutralize the tribulation thunder, but that would be like cutting corners. Therefore, until he could not endure it anymore, he did not plan to use other trump cards. The powerful power of thunder and lightning coursed through Lu Qing's entire body. This time, the tribulation thunder was even more powerful than the previous one. Even though Lu Qing's physical body had become stronger after being reconstructed by the vitality chi, it still couldn't resist such powerful heaven and earth power. In an instant, the powerful power of thunder and lightning severely injured him again. A burnt smell wafted from his body. Several fist-sized holes pierced through his body front to back, and his internal organs were almost completely cooked. His injuries were even more severe than the last time. Ah Qing! Seeing the gruesome state of Lu Qing, even the elder doctor became anxious. Master, I'm fine, you don't need to worry. At this moment, Lu Qing's voice came through, and his head also rose again. This turned everyone's shock into joy, and just as the elder doctor was about to say something, Lu Qing's voice came again. Master, I need to focus fully on the tribulation now. Please protect me. More tribulations? Upon hearing this, everyone was shocked again. However, at that moment, the vitality chi appeared again, enveloping Lu Qing and silencing the questions of the elder doctor and others. Chapter 432. They knew that Lu Qing was currently in a very perilous situation, and any further questions should wait until he had finished crossing the tribulation. Lu Qing was severely injured, but the vitality chi bestowed by heaven and earth had also significantly increased, allowing him to fully recover his injured body. Traditionally, Lu Qing left some vitality chi unabsorbed, nourishing it within his dantian. Just now, he had managed to endure because the leftover vitality chi protected his dantian at the critical moment. Sensing that Lu Qing seemed to have recovered, a few breaths later, the tribulation cloud struck down another bolt of tribulation thunder. Thus, each time Lu Qing recovered, a bolt of tribulation thunder descended from the sky and struck him. Soon, the sixth bolt of tribulation thunder arrived. Boom! With this bolt, Lu Qing's body, just repaired by the vitality chi, was severely damaged once again. Blood splattered everywhere, quickly dried by the scorching heat, leaving not only holes but also multiple cracks across his body, appearing as if he would shatter into pieces the next moment. Mr. Lu. Hu Ziji watched Lu Qing's condition and could not stop her tears from flowing. She dared not imagine the agony Lu Qing was enduring at this moment. Beside her, the Tower Master of Heavenly Mechanism was even more immensely shocked. 6 bolts of tribulation thunder. Just how profound has young Master Lu's cultivation base become to actually trigger more than 6 bolts? While the Tower Master's understanding of the tribulation cloud was not detailed, he knew one thing. The more bolts of tribulation thunder a living creature could induce, the more robust its foundation proved to be. Initially, the Tower Master had already been sufficiently shocked that Lu Qing could cause the heavens and the earth to gather a tribulation cloud. Now seeing him trigger 6 bolts of tribulation thunder, and seemingly not yet at his limit, the shock within the Tower Master's heart was simply indescribable. He couldn't fathom just how profound Lu Qing's foundation had to be to bring forth so many bolts of tribulation thunder. Not just the Tower Master was shocked, but outside the Tianji building, in the region not enveloped by the aura of the tribulation cloud, the gathered powerhouses were equally stunned. They had never felt such a fearsome majesty of heaven and earth. The bolts of tribulation thunder descending were terrifyingly powerful. Just one bolt could likely annihilate them. They could hardly imagine what in the Tianji building could trigger such a horrifying celestial phenomenon. And those who understood the tribulation cloud better, such as Shenming Monk and the black-robed men, while shocked, were more filled with fervor. The entity that could consecutively trigger so many bolts must not be an ordinary being. Given that it was just the beginning of changes in heaven and earth, and spiritual energy had only just begun to recover, it was impossible for such a defiant being to appear. Only an exotic treasure, and an exceedingly high-graded one at that, could possibly trigger such an intense tribulation cloud. Could it be the legendary spiritual artifact mentioned in the scriptures? The heart of Shenming Monk tremored. Deep as he was, he couldn't help but reveal a hint of fervor in his eyes. He immediately decided that once the tribulation cloud dissipated, no matter what, he must seize this exotic treasure. If the being crossing the tribulation right now was truly a legendary spiritual artifact, as long as he could control it, even the abbot would have to show him respect. Look, another bolt of lightning is coming down. Just as everyone was overwhelmed by the increasingly intense power emanating from the tribulation cloud, they saw the 7th bolt of tribulation thunder descend. This bolt of tribulation thunder was much thicker than any before, and the released power made some at the initial innate realm tremble violently, almost falling to the ground. This is troublesome. Lu Qing watched the lightning descend from the sky, and just as he thought, the tribulation thunder had already struck him. The next moment, he saw only a bright white before his eyes and could see nothing else. Even his consciousness was almost shattered by the engulfing electricity. He also felt numerous bolts of lightning drilling straight toward the divine soul acupoint on his forehead, attempting to completely obliterate his will. Fortunately, at the last moment, the divine soul talisman in the acupoint radiated waves of fluctuations, and the earth spirit pearl also shimmered layers of light, which finally blocked the lightning and stabilized the acupoint space. When the thunder and lightning had dissipated, revealing Lu Qing's figure, Hu Ziji and the others immediately covered their mouths. At this moment, Lu Qing was completely slumped on the ground, his body tattered and nearly unrecognizable as human. The only part of him that was relatively intact was his head. Even his head had a crack across the forehead, deep enough to show bone. Fortunately, Lu Qing had not died. He held on until the vitality qi appeared and enveloped him. But this time, even Lu Qing was frightened. When the tribulation thunder struck earlier, he had truly felt the breath of death. Once his divine soul acupoint shattered and his heart and spirit were extinguished, perhaps not even the vitality qi could have saved him. How can this be? This seventh tribulation thunder. Why is its power so tremendous, more than twice as strong as the sixth? Lu Qing frantically absorbed the vitality qi to heal himself, still unsettled by the shock. The previous 6 strikes of tribulation thunder, each only slightly stronger than the last. But this first strike of tribulation thunder was far too powerful compared to the 6th, nearly costing him his survival. More importantly, part of the 7th tribulation thunder seemed to directly target his forehead acupoint, with an intent to utterly eradicate his divine soul, to completely annihilate him. Something's not right. Logically, heavenly tribulation is merely a test from heaven and earth for powerful living creatures. No matter how fierce, there should always be a sliver of chance for survival. It shouldn't be so ruthless, intent on eradicating living creatures. If that were the case, it could have simply manifested higher-level tribulation clouds and killed me with one strike. Why go to such great lengths? There must be something I have misunderstood. Feeling that the tribulation clouds above were beginning to brew the next strike of tribulation thunder, and its force, even stronger than the 7th by several times, Lu Qing's thoughts raced. He had barely survived the 7th tribulation thunder. This 8th might truly be the death of him. He continuously recalled the scenes of his tribulation, and the moments where the lightning sought to infiltrate his forehead acupoint. Suddenly, a flash of insight struck Lu Qing and he thought of something. With no time to spare, Lu Qing willed, and a brown-hued spiritual pearl flew out from his forehead, and he quickly stored it into the Chenkuan Qi bag. Indeed, as soon as the earth spirit pearl was put away, the tribulation clouds above hesitated. Their rotation slowed, and their force gradually decreased. Seeing this, Lu Qing relaxed slightly, an epiphany dawning on him. I guessed right. It was an issue with the earth spirit pearl. The emergence of the heavenly tribulation is to temper me, aiding me in fully stepping into the innate realm. To truly achieve the innate, one must reshape the physical body and condense the innate body, including the forehead acupoint. But due to the suppression of the earth spirit pearl, the space in my forehead acupoint is much more stable than ordinary people's. Even someone at the perfect innate realm might not have a forehead acupoint space as stable as mine. But precisely because the forehead acupoint space is too stable, even the force of the tribulation thunder struggles to penetrate. Therefore, to allow my body a complete transformation into the innate body, the tribulation clouds had no choice but to enhance the power of the tribulation thunder, determined to breach my forehead acupoint space. Having understood all of this, Lu Qing was somewhat bemused. It turned out to be a huge misunderstanding. Due to the peculiarity of his forehead space, the tribulation clouds had to increase the power of the tribulation thunder, nearly resulting in his direct death. However, this misunderstanding also awakened Lu Qing. The reason my forehead acupoint space far exceeds that of ordinary people besides the earth spirit pearl is also due to the enhancement from the divine soul talisman. And my cultivation of the talisman path has reached the postnatal limit, with no further progress possible. The fundamental inheritance of my divine talisman sect line is the divine soul talisman. Having cultivated the divine soul talisman to the postnatal limit, to advance further, one must undergo a baptism, breaking through the limit. Now is the perfect opportunity. Today, not only do I intend to step into the innate realm in the martial arts path, but also to break through in the rune path. With that thought, Lu Qing willed, and a divine soul talisman suddenly emerged from his forehead acupoint, floating in front of him in the void. emanating a mysterious and profoundly mysterious aura. Chapter 433. Divine soul and physical body both crossing the tribulation, finally entering the innate realm. What is that? At the moment the divine soul talisman appeared in front of Lu Qing, Lin Jirue and the heavenly mechanism tower master on the tower were instantly shocked. From the divine soul talisman, they felt an extremely mysterious aura. Just one glance made their hearts and spirits flicker uncontrollably. Only the elder doctor and others knew that this must be the cultivation method that Lu Qing had cultivated himself. During the previous occurrence when the melody rose and the moonlight descended, Lu Qing had condensed spirit talismans and captured the moonlight right in front of them. However, the talisman that Lu Qing sacrificed this time seemed much more powerful than before. The moment the divine soul talisman was sacrificed, the tribulation clouds in the sky also quickly reacted. They began to condense lightning and started spinning again. Lu Qing gazed at the tribulation clouds, his heart and spirit stirred slightly, and the divine soul talisman in front of him suddenly enlarged, flew above him like a shield, and protected his body. Almost at the moment the divine soul talisman protected Lu Qing, the long-brewed eighth tribulation thunder from the clouds also descended. In a flash, it struck upon the divine soul talisman. Boom! Even though the divine soul talisman was a mysterious talisman condensed by Lu Qing, according to the divine talisman sect's heritage, using divine soul power to imitate many fundamentally profound runes, and spending a vast amount of effort, after it was formed, it was also nourished by the Earth Spirit Pearl, an Earth element treasure. In front of the tribulation thunder, a manifestation of the world's willful intent, it still couldn't withstand. It only lasted for less than a moment before it was shattered by the tribulation thunder, turning into numerous runes, engulfing Lu Qing's physical body in lightning. Lu Qing, seeing that the mysterious talisman sacrificed by Lu Qing couldn't withstand the tribulation thunder, the hearts of everyone on the tower clenched again. However, Lu Qing, who was in the midst of the lightning, felt a burst of surprise at this moment. As expected, after putting away the Earth Spirit Pearl, the eighth tribulation thunder didn't increase much in strength, just similar to the seventh. But with the divine soul talisman sharing some of the pressure, handling it has become much easier for me. Bathed in lightning, feeling the destruction of the tribulation thunder on his body, Lu Qing's heart and spirit gradually became calm. Without the boost from the Earth Spirit Pearl, the space of his brow chakra began to be infiltrated by the lightning and was rapidly dissolving. Even as the divine soul talisman was shattered, he wasn't panicked at all, just quietly experiencing everything. The divine soul talisman was condensed from many god soul runes, now merely being dispersed, not damaged fundamentally. As long as the divine soul runes weren't destroyed, he could recondense them at any time. But Lu Qing did not do so immediately, because he felt that the divine soul runes, now bathed in the lightning, were undergoing a strange transformation. Divine soul power is inherently Yin. According to the divine talisman sect's heritage, the essence of its practice lies in the cultivation of divine soul talismans. To break through from the postnatal realm to the innate realm, one must let the divine soul talisman undergo a baptism, absorb the yang force, and transform from yin to yang. There are many methods for this breakthrough, like absorbing earth vein thermal energy or sun essence, slowly converting. But among the forces between heaven and earth, the most yang and explosive is the power of thunder and lightning. And this tribulation thunder, formed by the will of heaven and earth, could be described as the extreme of yang and forcefulness. Now, my divine soul runes bathed in the lightning. This is the best chance for the transformation from yin to yang. A variety of realizations rose in his mind, and under Lu Qing's thoughts, the divine soul runes immediately began to absorb the power of thunder and lightning at a faster rate. As the lightning dissipated and revealed Lu Qing's figure, the anxious observers on the tower were astonished to discover that this time, Lu Qing's body was actually intact. Apart from his skin being still charred, it didn't appear as torn and dreadful as before. However, Lu Qing understood what was happening. After the cleansing of the previous 7 tribulation thunders, my physical body has not only strengthened a lot, but has also become more resistant to the power of the tribulation thunder. And with the Divine Soul Talisman sharing some of it, it didn't need to be so miserable this time. However, I didn't expect that after absorbing so much power of thunder and lightning, it still couldn't completely transform the Divine Soul Talisman and turn it into a Yang Talisman. Moreover, my physical body is still a bit short of completely purifying the impurities and truly stepping into the innate realm. It seems I can only pin my hopes on this 9th tribulation thunder. Lu Qing absorbed the newly emerged vitality chi and looked up at the sky. The tribulation clouds also seemed to sense Lu Qing's thoughts at this moment. They began to spin rapidly, forming a gray cloud vortex. And in the center of the vortex, dazzling lightning quickly gathered, the overwhelming authority making everyone watching the scene almost breathless. The 9th tribulation thunder, the heavenly mechanism tower master muttered as he watched the gathering lightning. He wasn't sure how many bolts of tribulation thunder could fall, but 9 is the ultimate number, a principle of heaven and earth, hence he figured this count won't exceed that boundary. Thus, this 9th tribulation thunder should be the last. As long as young Master Lu can withstand this tribulation thunder, this tribulation count he would have completely crossed. Once this extreme is reached, a transformation akin to a fish leaping over the dragon gate is sure to promote him to an unimaginably high realm. Anticipation shone in the eyes of the heavenly mechanism tower master. Originally, Lu Qing being able to trigger the tribulation clouds was enough to shock him. Unexpectedly, it even triggered 9 tribulation thunders. He was really curious to see, once someone exceptional like Lu Qing crossed the tribulation, just how powerful he would become. Chapter 434. Outside Tianji Building, Monk Shenming and the others were already dumbfounded. 9 tribulation thunders, this is already the limit that the current heaven and earth rules can reach. There's no doubt, this tribulation object must be an unimaginable exotic treasure. In Monk Xuanming's eyes, a frenzy shone. Gone was any bit of the previous deep composure. Triggering 9 tribulation thunders as soon as it appeared? This tribulation treasure is mine. The black-robed man, hiding in the shadows, was also greatly shaken, nearly failing to conceal his own aura. Brother disciples, make sure to be careful later. We must seize this tribulation treasure. Even if we cannot obtain it, we absolutely cannot let it fall into the hands of Suspended Mountain. Yangming Taoist was secretly giving instructions to his companions nearby. To think there are 9 tribulation thunders. Big brother, what should we do? The disciples of Cloud Water Secret Realm were similarly becoming anxious. Don't act rashly without my order. None of the disciples are to act on their own. However, the big brother of Cloudwater Secret Realm felt increasingly uneasy, issuing the order once again. Just as numerous powerhouses harbored divergent thoughts and were ready to strike, the long-brewing 9th bolt of lightning in the heavenly tribulation cloud, under the watchful eyes of countless people, finally struck down. Come on. Let me see just what kind of spectacle exists after the innate realm. Lu Qing, witnessing the descending lightning, was fiercely moved, and in an instant, the scattered divine soul runes reconstituted into a talisman, which he placed over his head to meet the incoming tribulation thunder. Boom! As expected, the divine soul talisman was once again shattered by the tribulation thunder, and the lightning struck Lu Qing. In an instant, it shattered his body to pieces. This time, the spread of the lightning lasted unusually long. When everything dissipated and Lu Qing's form was revealed, the people on the tower were directly startled. At this moment, Lu Qing's body was almost entirely melted, looking exceedingly horrific. The aura on his body was like a candle in the wind, nearly undetectable. Brother Lu Qing, are you still alive? Ma Gu's voice trembled slightly, but no one dared to answer him. Everyone stared fixedly below at Lu Qing, who was almost unrecognizable. Just when everyone dared not even breathe a little heavier, Lu Qing's head suddenly lifted, smiling towards the direction of the tower. Although the smile looked very frightening, Ma Gu and the others cheered instantly. Thank heavens! Brother Lu Qing is all right. Hearing the cheers from afar, As Lu Qing reigned in his smile, he also felt a wave of relief. His appearance was indeed very wretched at this moment. Almost all of his blood had been baked dry, his internal organs were nearly cooked through, and even his skull had cracked open in a large hole. Had it not been for the immense power of his divine soul, he might truly have perished on the spot. I didn't expect this 9th tribulation thunder to be so much stronger than the 8th. This path of crossing the tribulation truly is strange and unpredictable, full of twists and nearly unfathomable. I thought I wouldn't have a hard time dealing with this final thunder tribulation, yet I nearly suffered a huge setback. If I hadn't habitually retained some vitality chi for emergency use, and quickly swallowed the earth vein spirit liquid, I might have already turned into a pile of char by now. No wonder, even during the cultivation era, everyone feared it. There's always a sliver of life under the heavenly tribulation, but not everyone can seize it. A slight carelessness, and one might perish on the spot, unable to endure till the opportunity for life appears. With a soul power incredibly immense, Lu Qing maintained his conscious will, but his heart still lingered with lingering fear. Just a moment ago he truly felt the breath of death. He was close to perishing in this heavenly tribulation. Fortunately, he managed to hold on. The rich chi of vitality appeared again, enveloping Lu Qing. Lu Qing didn't hold back, immediately operating his cultivation technique, starting to devour ravenously. This time, the vitality chi was much more intense than any time before. Wrapped in the vitality chi, Lu Qing's physical body recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye. His internal organs revitalized, becoming more vibrant. Bones and muscles also regrew, and his meridian acupoints were completely remodeled. Then came the skin and hair. This time, Lu Qing did not spare the vitality chi, aiming to restore his physical body to its perfect peak. As his physical body recovered, the divine soul runes scattered around Lu Qing also took flight, quickly reassembling and condensing. Before long, as Lu Qing's physical body fully recovered, the previously shattered divine soul talisman reappeared, hovering in front of him. The newly condensed divine soul talisman showed some changes compared to before. Not only had it become more refined, but even its aura had become much restrained, carrying a warm, sun-like quality. And just as the divine soul talisman recondensed, in the middle of the tribulation clouds above, suddenly 2 streaks of light descended. One fell onto Lu Qing's body, and the other onto the divine soul talisman. Immediately after, the tribulation clouds began to slowly dissipate. This change was completely unexpected for Lu Qing. The 2 streaks of light came too quickly, catching him off guard, and before he could react, they had already landed on him. He immediately used his divine soul power to inspect his body. Then quickly, a look of pleasant surprise appeared on his face. Did this crossing of the tribulation actually grant me 2 divine skills? Lu Qing was overjoyed. From the heritage left by the Li Hui sect, he knew that anyone who could overcome the tribulations would be granted extra opportunities by heaven and earth. These opportunities would vary based on the performance of the tribulation crossing individuals, with differing levels of rewards. It could be a comprehension of heaven and earth, or something as unusual as origin energy. There might even be ancient inheritances, powerful cultivation techniques, and the like. Among all these opportunities, the most mysterious were the various unpredictable innate divine abilities. However, innate divine abilities were extremely difficult to be granted. Even in the cultivation era, they were a rare sight. Generally, only spiritually profound, mysterious origin spiritual and divine beasts could possess them. For human cultivators, having an innate divine ability granted by heaven was much more valuable than any divine skills and secret techniques. Lu Qing originally thought he was lucky enough to obtain an ancient inheritance. But little did he expect his luck to be so good, to be granted divine skills, and even 2 at once. Such a reversal of fate, even in the cultivation era, was enough to make countless cultivators envious. Keep in mind, the heavenly tribulation he crossed was just one of many, the lowest-ranked gray cloud thunder tribulation. In the cultivation era, such tribulation clouds were not uncommon. Could it be because I am the first person to cross the tribulation after the transformation of heaven and earth and the recovery of spiritual energy? Lu Qing pondered inwardly. But right now there was no one to answer this question. Therefore, Lu Qing did not dwell on it. He was just preparing to sense the effects of the two divine skills he had obtained. Above the sky, a ripple came, and he looked up to see that the gray tribulation cloud had completely dissipated, leaving only a few wisps of gray clouds drifting in the sky. At the same time, many powerful auras suddenly appeared within Lu Qing's senses and rapidly approached his location. What's going on? Lu Qing was initially puzzled, but the next moment, he saw several bald monks appearing not far from him, and they looked familiar. They were the monks from the suspended mountain he had seen not long ago above Holy Above. Leading them was still the monk Xianming. Monk Xianming and others had used their movement technique to rush in as soon as the clouds dissipated. Then, at first sight, they saw Lu Qing, standing in a deep pit created by the lightning, along with the floating divine soul talisman in front of him. The moment the divine soul talisman was seen, Monk Xuanming's eyes burst out with a shocking light, while Monk Xiannu, who was close beside him, shouted loudly, "Hey, that boy! Hand over that exotic treasure immediately." Chapter 435. Misunderstandings and settling accounts, Lu Qing's killing intent. Exotic treasure? Lu Qing was stunned for a moment. Just then, several powerful figures rushed in. Leading the charge were a few Taoists clad in Taoist robes. As everyone surged in, they likewise immediately saw Lu Qing and the talisman floating in front of him, emitting a powerful aura. The leading middle-aged Taoist's eyes widened as he bellowed, "Young man, don't hand over the exotic treasure to those baldies." However, it was already too late. Before Yangming Taoist's words could finish, Monk Xiannu had already lunged forward. Looking at his chubby figure, one wouldn't expect his speed to be so swift. In almost an instant, he was in front of Lu Qing, spreading his large palm and reaching for the divine soul talisman. Seeing this, Yangming Taoist felt his heart sink. He hadn't expected the baldies of Suspended Mountain to be so bold as to rush in while the tribulation clouds hadn't yet dissipated. As a result, they were a step behind and could only watch with their own eyes as Monk Xiannu was about to snatch away the exotic treasure. It turns out they mistook my divine soul talisman for the exotic treasure. Lu Qing finally understood what was happening. However, he wasn't surprised that Monk Xiannu and the others didn't recognize him. At that moment, he looked quite disheveled. Although he had taken clothes from the Chenkuan Qi bag after surviving the heavenly tribulation, and his injuries had completely healed, the burnt dead skin on his face had not fallen off entirely. Moreover, he hadn't had a chance to tidy up his newly grown hair, so it was no wonder that Xiannu and the others didn't recognize him right away. Watching Monk Xiannu's hand about to touch the divine soul talisman, Lu Qing smiled slightly. First, he transmitted a message with his divine soul to his master, asking him not to come over yet. Then, with a slight thought, the divine soul talisman rapidly shrank and swiftly entered the space between his eyebrows. "Kid, hand over the item." Monk Xiannu grasped at thin air and instantly flew into a rage. His hand, as large as a banana leaf, flashed with golden light and swiped towards Lu Qing. The terrifying might seemed intent on smashing Lu Qing into pieces to extract the exotic treasure. That young man is as good as dead. The strong onlookers, witnessing this scene, couldn't help but think the same thought. Those with a gentler heart even couldn't bear to look, seemingly unwilling to see Lu Qing shattered and torn apart. However, just when everyone thought Lu Qing's life would end right there, a dazzling sword light flashed. The next moment, a shriek filled the air. They then saw Monk Xiannu's arm, which had been reaching for Lu Qing, abruptly severed from his body, blood gushing forth, as his body was sent flying backward. As he landed, he plowed through numerous bricks and logs, carving out a long trail before coming to a halt. When everyone had a clear view of Xiannu's body stopping, they all drew a sharp breath. The monk Xiannu was missing more than an arm. A terrifying sword wound on his chest extended from his shoulder to his waist, nearly cleaving his body in half. Observing the severely injured and nearly dead Xian Nu with a faint breath, everyone was shocked and once again turned their gazes towards Lu Qing. Who exactly was this young man, to possess such terrifying strength that with a single sword chi, he nearly slew Monk Xian Nu, one who had the great success of innate realm? As for Monk Xian Nu himself, his face was filled with disbelief. He could not fathom that he could be severely wounded by a mere sword chi. Still not dead. Lu Qing was somewhat surprised. He had thought that one sword chi could directly bisect Xian Nu, yet it was unexpectedly withstood by him. It seemed his recent breakthrough left him somewhat unskilled in wielding the power of the innate realm. However, that did not matter. With Lu Qing's realm and control over his power, he believed he would not make the same mistake a second time. Hearing Lu Qing's mutter, the crowd was lost for words. Did it seem that this young man was somewhat dissatisfied with having seriously wounded Xian Nu with a single move? Only the monk Xianming looked at Lu Qing with unsettled suspicion in his eyes. Gazing at Lu Qing's facial features, he faintly felt something familiar. "Kid, who are you? Daring to injure my uncle Master Xian Nu?" At that moment, a young monk shouted angrily, "Xianming Baldi, your suspended mountain indeed hasn't changed. Always so overbearing and hypocritical, spoiling every encounter with you. The last time, you wanted to forcibly convert my master, and this time, you attacked indiscriminately, trying to snatch my treasure." Lu Qing replied coldly with a sneer. "It's you." Monk Xianming was greatly shaken as he finally recognized Lu Qing. "Is it that Lu surname young man?" At the same time, Yangming Taoist and others also recognized Lu Qing. However, their shock was even greater, because just a few days prior, Lu Qing's full-strength slash had only managed to seriously injure Xian Nu. Now, with merely a sword chi, he had almost killed Xian Nu on the spot. In just a few short days, Lu Qing's combat strength had unbelievably doubled. It was inconceivable. Was it the work of the talisman, that exotic treasure he had just used? Many harbored this thought in their hearts. There were even those among the strong who had seen Lu Qing on the holy mountain, remembering the terrifying killing intent that had emerged from him that day. Could it also be the work of that exotic treasure talisman? Of course, there were also those strong ones who hadn't been on the holy mountain that day and thus had not seen Lu Qing. Witnessing this scene, they were full of questions. Who exactly was this young man, and why did the high monks of Suspended Mountain seem to fear him so much? Chapter 436. Is it you, you little beast? Among everyone present, Monk Xian Nu was the most incredulous. He could never have imagined that the one who had inflicted severe wounds on him again was the very same little beast who had killed his disciple and injured him just a few days ago. In a moment of agitation, the chi blood that he had originally sealed off with his strong will abruptly became chaotic, causing him to spout a mouthful of fresh blood and faint. "Uncle Master Xian Nu!" A monk immediately cried out in alarm, rushing forward to take out an elixir, intending to administer it for healing. Lu Qing did not stop him. Xian Nu had been struck by his sword chi, and although he had just entered the innate realm and had not yet had time to cultivate his attribute-specific innate true chi, with his realm in saber techniques, the condensed sword chi was not easily dissipated. Temporarily ignoring Xian Nu, Lu Qing looked indifferently toward Xianming. "Monk Xianming, your arrival is timely. I just have a score to settle with you." Amitabha, I didn't expect that after just a few days, Master Lu's cultivation has deepened even further. Truly a young talent with heaven-sent abilities. Just now, Xian Nu acted rashly towards you, his mistake. I, on his behalf, apologize to you. Xianming, after all, was no ordinary person. After a brief moment of shock, he quickly composed himself. With palms pressed together, he bowed to Lu Qing. Seeing Xianming take such a humble stance, those who had never witnessed Lu Qing's power were astonished. Who was Xianming? A legendary elder from Suspended Mountain, one of the 4 great secret realms. A real dragon, rarely seen. Normally, even sect masters of the major sects in Central State would address him with respect. Such a prominent figure was now displaying such a low stance before a young man. What could this young man's background possibly be? Faced with Monk Xuanming's humble approach, Lu Qing remained unfazed. He spoke indifferently. Monk Xianming, you don't need to pretend here. Tell me, were those assassins from Wujin building a few nights ago sent by your suspended mountain? Upon hearing Lu Qing mention Wujin building, a tremor went through the group of powerhouses. In recent days, the news of the reemergence of the Wujin building had spread throughout Holy City. Listening to this young man, could this matter actually involve Suspended Mountain? Those with shrewder minds began to connect the sudden mysterious appearance of Wujin building and some unresolved matters they had been pondering. Some, like Yangming Taoist, even looked distressed as they contemplated some dire possibilities. Amitabha Master Lu jests. Wujin building belongs to the evil path and was eradicated hundreds of years ago. It couldn't possibly be related to our Suspended Mountain. Xianming responded calmly, his face showing no irregularities. It doesn't matter whether you admit it or not. Lu Qing chuckled lightly. I have already learned the truth from those assassins. Master Lu, although I don't know the truth you speak of, I still would like to remind you. The assassins trained by Wujin building are often crazed and will stop at nothing to achieve their goals. You better not fall for someone else's scheme of causing discord. There's no harm. I don't care whether they're trying to incite discord or not. I only know there's one thing I've long wanted to do. At this, Lu Qing suddenly flashed a brilliant smile. Seeing Lu Qing's smile, a powerful sense of crisis surged in Xuanming's heart. However, before he could contemplate further, he saw Lu Qing whisper his final words. And that is, to kill all of you. Instantly, his figure vanished from the spot. This is bad. Set up the formation. Xuanming's sense of crisis reached its peak. He shouted loudly while throwing out a golden bowl. The bowl grew as soon as it caught the wind, instantly turning the size of a water cistern and emitting a faint golden light, blocking in front of the monks. However, the next moment, Lu Qing appeared, holding a long saber that appeared out of nowhere and struck the golden bowl without any fancy moves. Bang! A powerful burst of energy erupted, and under Lu Qing's terrifying force, the golden bowl was directly flung away. After deflecting the golden bowl, Lu Qing made a sweeping motion, and a sharp, unmatched arc of sword qi swiftly slashed forward. Get out of the way! Seeing Lu Qing's sword qi approaching, the monks of Suspended Mountain were filled with terror. The fate of Monk Xiannu was still vivid in their minds. Even Monk Xiannu, who had achieved the Vajrabhati, was severely injured by Lu Qing's sword qi. How could they possibly resist? Immediately, all the monks could no longer care about any formation. They all used their movement techniques, trying to dodge the sword qi. But Lu Qing's realm in saber technique was profound and inscrutable. How could his sword qi be easily dodged? A series of screams followed, and by the time the sword qi dissipated, apart from a few elders led by Xianming, the rest of the monks from Suspended Mountain had all been bisected at the waist by Lu Qing's sword qi. Ah! It hurts. It hurts. Elder, save me. Elder, save my life. I don't want to die. Master, save me. The monks who were bisected did not die immediately. They were rolling on the ground in pain, screaming continuously, asking Xianming and others for help. The scene was so gruesome that even the other strong witnesses felt chilled. At this moment, even Monk Xianming could no longer remain calm. With an ashen face, he pinched a spell and brought out a string of Buddha beads. In the next moment, the beads emitted streaks of golden light, falling on the bodies of the bisected monks. Then, a miraculous scene unfolded. The wounds of those bisected monks were gradually stopped from bleeding, and they didn't die immediately. However, since Lu Qing had made a move, he naturally wouldn't stop there. His earlier banter with Xianming was merely to familiarize himself with the newly acquired innate realm power. Now seeing Xianming trying to save people, he immediately lunged forward again. But as Lu Qing moved, suddenly, a barrier of light fell from the sky, blocking in front of him. It turned out to be the golden bowl that he had previously sent flying, which, unbeknownst to him, had appeared above Xianming and the others, emitting streaks of golden light that enveloped them. The surviving suspended mountain elders also sat cross-legged on the ground, forming an array, using the power of the heart to drive the golden bowl. Lu Qing casually swung his saber to strike, but found the light barrier to be extremely tough, much more so than when he had encountered it at Holy Mountain. With his current strength, he couldn't break through without going all out. No wonder it's one of the 4 great secret places. There are many tricks, and it seems that when you fought with me that day, you still held back. Feeling the strength of the light barrier, Lu Qing couldn't help but admire. However, this praise, in the ears of Shen Ming and others, sounded more like sarcasm. Back then, they had used most of the Golden Bowl's power to suppress and convert the Elder Doctor, giving Lu Qing an opportunity to break the Golden Light formation. They didn't expect to now be mocked by this junior. At this moment, Shen Ming no longer maintained his previous composure. With a livid face, he stared at Lu Qing. "Master, your actions were overly ruthless. My suspended mountain disciples have never offended you, yet you resorted to such lethal measures. Indeed, you have fallen into the demon path, and your actions no different from an evil demon. Playing the blame game seems to be something you bald monks excel in." Lu Qing held his long saber, but didn't want to waste time with verbal spats at this moment. He carefully observed the light barrier in front of him. "But do you think this turtle shell can protect you for long?" After speaking, Lu Qing posed, focused his will, and a sharp sword qi began to condense on his saber. As Lu Qing prepared his strike, a mighty aura emerged around him. The terrifying intent to kill directly caused the surrounding strong observers to change color. They all felt that once Lu Qing delivered the strike, it would be earth-shattering. As for Shen Ming and the others inside the golden light shield, they naturally felt the aura emanating from Lu Qing's body. However, Shen Ming didn't show any signs of panic. Seeing that the bisected disciples had their injuries temporarily stopped by the light of the Buddha beads, he retracted the beads and then took out an item from his chest, throwing it forward. The item thrown out also expanded with the wind, turning out to be a 3-foot-long, shiny golden Vajra pestle. The Vajra pestle hovered in front of Shen Ming, who sat cross-legged, stared fixedly at Lu Qing with undisguised murderous intent in his eyes. "Little beast, since you have completely fallen into the demon path, I will no longer show mercy. Prepare to die." After saying this, the Vajra pestle in front of him shone brightly. Chapter 437. Magical Treasure. Seizing the Treasure. Subdue Evil Vajra Pestle. The old monk actually brought this thing out. Yangming Taoist couldn't help but be surprised when he saw the object Shen Ming summoned. "Brother Yangming, is this Subdue Evil Vajra Pestle very powerful?" A young Taoist beside him inquired. "Of course it's powerful. This is a magical treasure, rumored to be an ancient treasure passed down from a previous era. Its might is formidable, and it's no less potent than our Qingyang Temple's Green Thunder Peach Sword." Yangming Taoist sighed. "As powerful as our Qingyang Temple's Green Thunder Peach Sword?" The young Taoist exclaimed. "Doesn't that mean this young man surnamed Lu is in danger?" The other Taoists also revealed looks of shock. "You see, the Green Thunder Peach Sword is one of the top 3 magical treasures of their Qingyang Temple. Only the Temple Master is qualified to wield it. And this Subdue Evil Vajra Pestle is also such a treasure? That's not necessarily true. Even if it is a magical treasure, it matters who wields it. If it were the abbot of Suspended Mountain, or one of those supreme elders, this young man would certainly die without a doubt. But Shen Ming, that old monk's cultivation is merely at the qi refining great success stage. It would be impressive if he could unleash even 1% of the Vajra Pestle's power. As long as this young man retreats a sufficient distance, he still has a chance of survival. Yangming Taoist's conversation with his junior brothers wasn't hushed. Instead, he raised his voice slightly, making sure everyone nearby could hear clearly. It was as if he was deliberately reminding Lu Qing. However, Lu Qing's expression remained calm, unfazed by Yangming Taoist's words, because at this moment, his field of vision displayed information about the Vajra Pestle as well. Subdue Evil Vajra Pestle. Low-grade magical treasure, legacy of Suspended Mountain, powerful might, capable of subduing demons and capturing monsters. In the last cultivation era, a true treasure left behind when the real suspended mountain broke through the bounds of this world. This treasure, with its aura, can bind one's divine soul with golden light, and with its form, can shatter one's physical body, with moderate effects leading to the dissolution of the soul and living as a cripple, or in severe cases, causing both body and soul to perish. To reach the treasure level, the magic artifact requires mana to be activated in order to unleash its strongest might. This magical treasure has been refined and can be utilized by others, but at most, only 70% of its power can be unleashed. Low-grade magical treasure? It seems the resources of the 4 great secret places are not as profound as I imagined. No wonder they covet my divine soul talisman so much. Combining what Yangming Taoist had just said, Lu Qing immediately made some speculations about the resources of the 4 great secret places. Even a low-grade magical treasure could surprise Yangming Taoist. It seems the number of magical treasures possessed by the 4 great secret places isn't very high. Lu Qing's demeanor was as usual, but Xianming, who was activating the Vajra Pestle, heard Yangming Taoist's words, and his face became very gloomy. In his heart, he despised Yangming Taoist to the extreme. The nosy Taoist's exposure of the origin of the subdue evil Vajra Pestle was obviously intentional. He wanted to assist Lu Qing and kill with a borrowed knife. But even understanding Yangming Taoist's intention, Xianming could only swallow his pain. Because just as Yangming Taoist said, the subdue evil Vajra Pestle, a magical treasure of such a high grade, wasn't something a chi-refining great success like him could easily use. And since he was not the true master of this magical treasure, activating it was even more strenuous. Even if he formed an array with a few junior brothers, they had to gather power before they could unleash the true might of the Vajra Pestle. If Lu Qing were to escape now, he could only launch an early attack. But in doing so, whether he could truly kill Lu Qing he dared not guarantee. Afraid that Lu Qing would escape, Xianming didn't dare to delay and immediately ordered with the divine soul transmission. Junior brothers? Change the array right away. Trap the evil demon? Yes. After Xianming and the others formed the array, their intentions were interconnected. At his command, the others instantly shifted their thoughts, and the array's golden light that had originally enveloped them abruptly flipped, like a large net, enveloping towards Lu Qing, intending to trap him within. But with Lu Qing's current cultivation level, how could he be so easily trapped? Instead, seeing that Xianming and the others had given up defense for offense, his face immediately broke into a smile. Finally not playing turtle anymore? Without any further hesitation, he powered up, and with a boom, left behind a human-shaped white mist in his place, which was covered by the golden light. But in the next instant, he appeared in front of a large monk, bringing his war saber down in a cleave. However, just as that monk was about to fall to Lu Qing's saber, the Vajra Pestle hovering in front of monk Xianming, emitting a faint golden light, suddenly burst with a bright glow. The surge of golden light was incredibly fast. In just an instant, it not only enveloped all the monks within, but even Lu Qing, too slow to evade, was swept by the golden light. Upon being struck by the golden light, Lu Qing's body suddenly quivered, becoming stiff, and his war saber, originally swung towards the large monk, immediately stopped. His eyes filled with horror. His entire being became like a marionette, completely immobilized. It's a pity, the young man still got caught. Yangming Taoist, upon seeing this, immediately sighed. After all, still a young man, strong as he may be, he was inexperienced and fell into a trap set by old Xianming, exposing a weakness and getting his divine soul bound. However, it was unexpected that the rumors were true. Suspended mountains subdue evil Vajra Pestle could bind one's divine soul from above, shatter the physical body from below, and in moderate cases, annihilate both form and spirit, leaving no hope of transcendence. Originally, he thought there was some exaggeration, but now it seems truly worthy of its reputation. While Yangming Taoist sighed, the other spectators were equally astounded. The Lu Qing, who was ferociously pushing the people of Suspended Mountain to the brink just a moment ago, was subdued so quickly. Chapter 438. Unworthy of Suspended Mountain. The deep foundation of the four great secret lands is extraordinary, using just one treasure to completely turn the tables in a desperate situation. Not good, Ah Ching. Those atop the high tower were equally shocked. Especially the elder doctor, seeing Lu Qing immobilized by the golden light, was extremely anxious and was about to leap from the high tower. However, just as the elder doctor's body had started to move, Lu Qing's voice echoed in his mind. Master, don't worry, I'm fine. Ah Qing, you're fine? The elder doctor's body trembled, and he steadied himself, showing a surprised and delighted expression. I'm fine. Rest assured, Master. I was just deceiving them. Hearing that Lu Qing was pretending, the elder doctor finally relaxed. But soon, his heart and spirit faltered again. Ah Qing's divine soul communication can reach so far? It should be known that since entering Central State, their divine soul sensing ability had been greatly suppressed. Especially after entering the holy city, it was suppressed to a mere 20 to 30 meters at most. And the high tower was half a mile away from the small courtyard. It seems that this crossing the tribulation has truly transformed Ah Qing's strength. Thinking of this, the elder doctor felt even more at ease. However, while the elder doctor was relieved, others were not so relaxed. People like Ma Gu looked on with eyes about to split, regretting that they were in the high tower and could not help Lu Qing at all, only able to be anxious. You little beast, no matter how cunning you are like an evil demon, before the demon-suppressing treasure of our suspended mountain, you are still utterly feeble. On the other side, Xianming, seeing Lu Qing immobilized by the golden light, felt a great relief in his heart and spirit and revealed a ferocious smile. Lu Qing could not move, showing only an appearance of horror in his eyes. This made Xianming feel extremely pleased. Over these past days, their suspended mountain had suffered a lot because of Lu Qing. Not only were disciples killed, but he himself was also called an old monk repeatedly. Despite his composed and profound demeanor in front of his disciples and younger brothers, the fury in his heart was burning brighter than anyone else's. It was just his usual depth that made him forcefully suppress the rage. Elder, quickly kill this little beast. Cut him in two with a single saber, to taste our agony. Have him executed by slow slicing. Other monks, seeing the situation, were overjoyed. Especially the younger monks who had been cut by Lu Qing, who all began calling for Lu Qing to be executed immediately. Even the suspended mountain elders were all looking towards Xianming. However, as Xianming looked at Lu Qing's horrified face, a different idea suddenly emerged in his mind. No, this demon, although he has committed heinous crimes and has deeply rooted demonic qi, even if we execute him, the evil qi on his body cannot be dissolved. I think we should first take him back, use Buddha Dharma to convert and purify the demonic qi. That's the righteous way. The other elders, upon hearing this, immediately understood. Brother Xianming intended to convert Lu Qing and turn him into a puppet of Suspended Mountain. Thinking of the incredible talent and strength Lu Qing had demonstrated, the elders' hearts also fluttered with temptation. If Suspended Mountain had such a puppet with heaven-defying talent, their foundation could greatly increase once again. They immediately nodded in approval. This is a good act. Brother Xianming truly has a compassionate heart. Then I ask my brothers to assist me in completely immobilizing this demon's divine soul, then escort him back to Suspended Mountain. Yes. Several monks immediately activated the array, connecting their qi with Xianming to assist him in suppressing the demon. With the help of several brothers, the demon-suppressing Vajra pestle in front of Xianming shone even brighter with golden light. Slowly rising, it came above Lu Qing's head, accompanied by soft chants. It lowered strands of golden light, intending to completely seal Lu Qing's divine soul acupoints. Once Lu Qing's divine soul acupoints were sealed, he would not be able to use his divine soul power at all. By then, he wouldn't only become a living dead, at the mercy of others, but also all the treasures and secrets on his body would belong to Suspended Mountain. Thinking of the treasures on Lu Qing and the secrets that might be hidden, The hearts of Xianming and the monks burned with excitement. Lu Qing, at such a young age having such dreadful strength, it was impossible for him to not have secrets. And they were likely very powerful secrets. Otherwise, it was hard to imagine how he managed to cultivate to such strength. If they could pry out his cultivation secrets, perhaps their own cultivation could take a further step. With this thought, even with Xuanming's deep composure, a hint of fervor could not help but appear in his eyes. The strong onlookers watched as Xianming and his group were on the verge of thoroughly suppressing Lu Qing. Yet not a single person dared speak. Firstly, they couldn't afford to offend Suspended Mountain. Secondly, the might emanating from the demon-suppressing Vajra Pestle at this moment was truly terrifying. Not a single person present dared to say they could withstand its power. Even Yangming Taoist didn't dare to act rashly at this time. He secretly regretted not beseeching the temple master before he came out to bring the Green Thunder Peach Sword with him. Had he had the Green Thunder Peach Sword in hand, why would he need to fear these bald donkeys? As the demon-suppressing Vajra Pestle slowly descended, Lu Qing's eyes began to close gradually. The monks from Suspended Mountain, including Xianming, all began to smile. It's over. Yangming Taoist sighed. Although he did not wish for Suspended Mountain to gain more strength, under the suppression of the demon-suppressing Vajra Pestle, there was no chance for Lu Qing to break free. Even he would be powerless to fight back against such a magical treasure. Just as everyone thought Lu Qing was about to be completely suppressed, with no possibility of turning the tide, suddenly, a hand appeared above Lu Qing's head, gently grasping the demon-suppressing Vajra Pestle. And that hand belonged to none other than Lu Qing himself. Lu Qing's eyes were now open, revealing a strange smile as he looked at monk Xianming. What? Xianming was greatly shocked in his heart. He didn't have time to think further, as his divine soul power surged wildly, trying to activate the treasure and shake Lu Qing to death. At this time, he couldn't care less about turning Lu Qing into a puppet. He just wanted to kill this strange and terrifying youth immediately. However, just when Xianming tried to activate the demon-suppressing Vajra Pestle, the next moment, something even more unbelievable happened. The demon-suppressing Vajra Pestle that was held in Lu Qing's hand suddenly disappeared without a trace. Thud! As the demon-suppressing Vajra Pestle vanished, Xianming immediately spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. At the same time, a look of disbelief and horror appeared on his face, because he felt that the demon-suppressing Vajra Pestle had completely disappeared. Not only was it invisible to the naked eye, but his divine soul power also didn't sense its whereabouts at all. The power of the heart and spirit that had been wrapped around the demon-suppressing Vajra Pestle seemed to have been cut off by something, causing his heart and spirit to suffer a not insignificant injury. What happened? How has the magical treasure of Suspended Mountain disappeared? This young man has not been suppressed. He was feigning it all along. Seeing Lu Qing, who was supposed to be suppressed, suddenly awaken, this sudden change caught everyone by surprise. The onlookers began to exclaim in astonishment. Even Yangming Taoist widened his eyes, unsure of how Lu Qing managed to withstand the golden light suppression from the demon-suppressing Vajra Pestle. As for the monks of Suspended Mountain, they were even more shocked, nearly jumping up on the spot. Especially Xianming, who, in his astonishment, yelled out angrily, "You little beast! What have you done?" "Nothing much, just took out the trash." "Old guy, you're really dragging your feet, having to perform such a long scene with you." Lu Qing stretched his body, his gaze clear, nowhere near the appearance of one being suppressed or controlled. "Hand over the demon-suppressing Vajra Pestle immediately. It's not something you should touch," Xianming shouted fiercely, his face no longer showing any of the composure he had before. "Old monk, have you lost your mind? Is this really a time to be asking me for things?" After Lu Qing finished stretching, he reached out and picked up his war saber. A hint of a cold smile appeared on his face. "You should be thinking about how you'll survive under my saber." With those words, his form disappeared, reappearing in front of Xianming, saber cleaving down. Chapter 439. Siege. the overwhelmingly powerful Lu Qing. Lu Qing suddenly appeared in front of Shen Ming. This time he held nothing back. His entire qi blood erupted, and the innate true qi within his body circulated rapidly as well. Unfortunately, the few spirit talismans that he had stored in his third eye acupoint had vanished during the previous tribulation when he was condensing his innate body and undergoing rebirth. He hadn't had the chance to recondense them. Otherwise, the power of this strike would have been even more terrifying. Even without the enhancement of the spirit talismans, Lu Qing's strength had reached levels unimaginable to others. Although he had only recently entered the innate realm, even a typical expert at the great success of innate realm was no match for him in a single move. With both his physical body and true qi exploding forth, Lu Qing's strength reached its limit. His war saber, like thunder descending from the sky, hacked towards Xuanming's head. How quick his movement technique! How swift his saber technique! Once Lu Qing moved, his lightning-fast speed stunned all the surrounding experts. Even those who were innate realm experts felt a blur before their eyes, and Lu Qing was already in front of Shen Ming. The onlookers were shocked, and Shen Ming even more so. As a qi cultivator, he was not adept at close combat. Moreover, his heart and spirit were also wounded at the moment. Therefore, facing Lu Qing's terrifying movement technique, he couldn't react in time and could only watch helplessly as Lu Qing's long saber chopped toward his head. It seemed Shen Ming was about to be split in two by Lu Qing's blade. Suddenly, the red kasaya that he was wearing emitted a red light, protecting him within it. But under Lu Qing's immense strength, the red light only held for less than half a moment before being sliced through by Lu Qing. Even so, that brief instant allowed Shen Ming enough time to react, tilting his head at the last moment to avoid a fatal blow to the skull, allowing Lu Qing's war saber to merely graze past his head and land on his shoulder. Boom! Lu Qing's saber strike landed on Xuanming's shoulder, failing to split him in two. Instead, it was blocked by the red kasaya, unable to cut into his body. However, although the red kasaya could fend off the blade's sharpness, it couldn't completely neutralize the force of Lu Qing's strike. Under Lu Qing's formidable strength, Xuanming's shoulder instantly collapsed, with countless bones broken. The ground below buckled and cracked, forming a pit that half buried him. Ah! Brother Shen Ming, you little beast, face your death. Evil demon, die. Seeing Shen Ming sliced into the ground, his life or death unknown, the other suspended mountain elders' eyes were filled with rage. Having seen Lu Qing break free from the control of the calming god golden light of the Vajra pestle, they had already felt ominous and were on alert. Yet Lu Qing's speed was so terrifying. Despite their utmost readiness, they were still too late to react, allowing him to get close to brother Shen Ming. Overcome with grief and anger, several suspended mountain elders immediately rushed together, attacking Lu Qing with fists, feet, and all manner of weapons like Zen sticks and precepts blades. Shen Ming was not skilled in close combat, but the several brothers beside him were all top martial arts experts with the strength of great success in innate realm. Together, their ferocious strength instantly caused the air around them to explode, pressing down towards Lu Qing. The momentum was so intimidating, it made all the watching experts' eyelids twitch. Ha! Bring it on! Facing the assault of 5 experts of the great success of innate realm, who were also top warriors from the secret land, Lu Qing showed no sign of fear, even bursting into boisterous laughter, making an unexpected move. He simply let go of his war saber, allowing it to fall to the ground. Clashing his fists, he suddenly let out a thunderous roar. This yell was like waves and torrents, resembling dragons and tigers, shaking everyone's hearts. More importantly, as soon as the roar erupted, the powerful sound waves shattered the violent currents whipped up by the 5 suspended mountain elders, rendering them unable to pose any threat to Lu Qing. With a single roar breaking the strong energy, Lu Qing did not pause for a moment. Utilizing the momentum of his roar, he twisted his feet, deforming the ground beneath him, his body instantly enveloping in a white mist as he lunged at one of the suspended mountain elders. It sounds complex, But from the time the suspended mountain elders began their assault on Lu Qing to the moment he shattered their strong energies with his roar, it was all within a single breath. By the time Lu Qing lunged at that suspended mountain elder, none of their attacks had reached him. The first elder Lu Qing pounced on was a large, bare-handed monk. The man was broad and robust, his arms particularly thick and strong, radiating immense qi blood power. It was clear he was a top expert who excelled in physical cultivation and specialized in hand-to-hand combat. In the way of martial arts, upon entering the innate realm, practitioners could cultivate innate true qi, gain the ability to release true qi externally, and form sword qi and other long-range attacks. However, not all innate realm martial artists chose this path of cultivation. Some preferred to nourish their physical bodies with their true qi, forging their bodies to be even more formidable. Such martial artists would have a physical body much stronger than ordinary innate realm warriors, possessing greater pure strength. Many who excel in hand-to-hand combat among innate martial artists opted for this route. The large monk Lu Qing lunged at was precisely an expert focused on physical cultivation, skilled in hand-to-hand combat. Seeing Lu Qing discard his war saber and lunge at him unarmed, a fierce smile appeared on his face. Chapter 440. Kid, you're digging your own grave. A pair of chubby palms, as large as cattail fans, turned crimson, like two blood-colored grinding wheels, stirring the air currents as they fiercely bombed towards Lu Qing's body. Roar! Faced with the ferocious strike from the Grand Monk, Lu Qing remained expressionless, not even showing an intent to dodge. The sounds of tigers roaring and dragons chanting arose from his body once more. Clenching his fists, his pair emitting a white jade-like luster, he used the technique double dragon out to sea, stamping them onto the Grand Monk's crimson palms. Boom! As fist and palm collided, a powerful strong energy instantly swept throughout the surroundings. The Grand Monk's palms, being several times larger than Lu Qing's fists, seemingly had the advantage. However, the moment Lu Qing's fists stamped on his palms, the Grand Monk's face changed instantly. He felt a profound depth of strength being transmitted from Lu Qing's fists. It was as if he had struck, not fists, but two immovable giant mountains. Under the overwhelming force, the Grand Monk's palms distorted and exploded in an instant. Even the arms were shattered instantaneously, turning into a mist of blood as the bones pulverized and sprayed outwards. Ah! With both arms directly shattered by Lu Qing, the severe pain made the Grand Monk scream miserably. However, before he could finish his scream, in the next instant Lu Qing had followed through with the momentum of his punch, charging in front of him, using his shoulder as a shield, and slammed into his embrace. With Lu Qing's current strength, the power of this impact was immense. The Grand Monk was instantly like a siege spear struck. His breastbones shattered endlessly, and his internal organs were ground into a paste. His large body flew backward, crashing through two surrounding walls before finally stopping. Only then he breathed his last, no longer inhaling. Boom! However, Lu Qing didn't care for any of this. As he charged into the Grand Monk's embrace, he knew that the opponent was already doomed. Thus, as he sent the Grand Monk flying, he leveraged the rebound force, stepped forward, and flew towards another monk holding a Zen stick, accompanied by the sounds of tigers roaring and dragons chanting, launching another punch. The monk holding the Zen stick, having seen the dire state of his fellow disciple, had no time for grief at this moment, his eyes wide open, his energy bursting forth, ignoring Lu Qing's incoming fist as he directed his Zen stick straight for Lu Qing's chest. Resolved to fight a mutually destructive battle, he was ready to vie with Lu Qing in a fight to the death. But Lu Qing wouldn't let things go as hoped. After comprehending the mysterious Tao rhythm of the origin energy and the baptism of the heavenly tribulation, his realm of will had broken through, reaching an incomprehensibly mysterious level. His boxing skills had also progressed remarkably. Facing the desperate fighting style of the monk holding the Zen stick, he merely twisted his feet lightly, his body suddenly becoming flexible. With a strange twist, like a dragon, he wound around the Zen stick, Yet the movement of his fist didn't change, stamping directly on the opponent's chest. After the body reshaped by the baptism of the heavenly tribulation, Lu Qing's innate body had grown incredibly strong. This punch's power was no less intense than the impact that sent the Grand Monk flying earlier. With a sound of bones shattering, the chest of the monk holding the Zen stick likewise caved in, his mouth spewing fresh blood as he flew backward. "You little beast, die!" After Lu Qing had dealt with 2 men consecutively, the remaining 3 suspended mountain elders finally caught up and attacked him from behind simultaneously. First was a monk in red robes holding a precept's blade, creating layers of sword light, enveloping Lu Qing. This sword light was sinister and full of murderous intent, as if resurrecting a hell Shura, intending to chop Lu Qing down. As the monk wielding the blade created the sword light, the other 2 monks, one using a short stick and one a fist, simultaneously assaulted Lu Qing. "Using a blade in front of me?" Faced with the joint attack by the 3, Lu Qing snorted coldly, not dodging or evading and even actively meeting the heavy sword lights. He lightly reached out with a palm, and the next instant, the sword light dissipated, and the precept's blade, held by the monk, was unexpectedly caught by him barehanded, immobilized. "How is this possible?" A look of disbelief appeared in the eyes of the monk holding the blade, seemingly unable to believe that his saber technique could be so easily neutralized barehanded. However, in the moment of his distraction, his arm numbed, and somehow the precept's blade had been seized by Lu Qing. With the precept's blade in hand, Lu Qing firstly drove back the other 2 suspended mountain elders with a couple of swift strikes. Then, swinging the blade horizontally, he slashed towards the monk holding the blade. As the blade light flashed, the monk holding the blade only felt dizzy and had already lost consciousness. "Xianming Jr. brother, die, you little beast!" The remaining 2 suspended mountain elders, seeing the monk with the precept's blade beheaded by Lu Qing, their faces suddenly showed an insanely crazed expression, recklessly unleashing all their power toward Lu Qing. Unfortunately, facing Lu Qing, whose strength was enough to drive one to despair, their attacks were doomed to be futile. In just a few moments, they were effortlessly slain by Lu Qing with the precept's blade in his hand. Thud! When they saw Lu Qing beheading the last of the suspended mountain elders, silence fell all around. All the spectating powerhouses stared at him in utter shock. Fear was even faintly visible in the eyes of many powerhouses. There was no helping it. The battle that had just unfolded was simply too exaggerated. Keep in mind, those who surrounded and attacked Lu Qing were the suspended mountain elders. These suspended mountain elders, all at the great success of the innate realm and because they were from a secret land, were much stronger than the usual ones at the great success of innate realm. Yet, this strength seemed like a joke in front of Lu Qing. 5 of them attacked together, yet they didn't even manage to touch Lu Qing's clothes. Instead, Lu Qing easily broke through their defense and killed them one by one. And among all this, whether it was Lu Qing's strange movement techniques, his overwhelmingly powerful strength, or his ghostly and fearsome saber technique, all without exception, shook everyone's heart and spirit. So much so that even though the fight was over, everyone was still just looking at Lu Qing in fear, with no one daring to speak. They were afraid that a single misstep could provoke this murderous deity. Even a power from the secret land like Yangming Taoist remained silent and did not speak. As for those young monks, whom Lu Qing had half-sliced but not killed, at this moment, they were tremendously frightened, trembling all over, not daring to make the slightest noise, afraid that Lu Qing might notice them. And in a dark corner in the distance, unnoticed, a shadow was also trembling slightly, their eyes filled with disbelief. How can he be so powerful? What kind of monster is this kid? Eh? In the midst of the silence, Lu Qing suddenly uttered a light, turning his head towards where Monk Xianming was. "Old monk, I didn't expect you to be so lucky, still not dead." Everyone paused for a moment, also turning to look towards Xianming. At that moment, Monk Xianming looked extremely pitiful. Half of his body buried underground, with the exposed upper part of his body. One shoulder also caved in, even one of his ears had been cut off. his hair disheveled, his face muddy, covered in blood, nothing like the high monk he was before. However, at this moment Monk Xuanming's aura was completely gone, totally giving the appearance of being dead. Not at all like what Lu Qing had said, showing signs of life. Playing dead, are you? Lu Qing smiled lightly, giving a light kick, sending a pebble whistling through the air, rapidly flying towards Xuanming's head. Just as it was about to shatter Monk Xuanming's head, a red light suddenly appeared, rippling out waves, blocking the pebble. Amitabha, Master Lu, do you really intend to exterminate us? Xuanming's eyes opened, looking at Lu Qing with sorrow and anger. Seeing Xianming open his eyes, all the strong onlookers were shocked, realizing that he had been feigning death all along. While marveling at the mysterious Tao rhythm of suspended mountains' aura concealment, they felt even more awe towards Lu Qing. So many of them had not noticed Xuanming's feigned death. Yet this young man saw through it at a glance. It was unimaginable what level his strength had reached. Exterminate all? Lu Qing said indifferently. That's right. None of you suspended mountain monks will leave here alive. Saying so, he lightly raised his wrist, sending a sword qi flying towards Xianming. This sword qi, which Lu Qing sent forth with focused energy, couldn't be blocked by Xuanming's red light. Sure enough, when the sword qi neared, Xuanming's red light appeared again, but it only lasted a split second before being slashed by the sword qi. Just as Xianming showed a look of horror, his head about to be shattered by the sword qi. A sword qi suddenly flew from nowhere, arriving later but intercepting first, gently blocking the slash, dissipating it.